Hello and welcome this evening, this cold and dark January evening. The game that we will be streaming is Halls of Hegra. It is a relatively new solo board war game, and if you are about to run away because it's a war game, it's kind of a different war game, as you will find out in a moment. It's not really a traditional war game that's focused on like moving, battalions and divisions around a map and looking at combat results table and flipping counters over to show that they have been reduced as strength and tracing supply lines and all these things. It's not really about the logistics of war. It's not about the top-down perspective of war. It's more about the personal experience of the horror of war. And that is, of course, why Halls of Hegra has made it onto the Hopeless stream, because that's pretty much what we're streaming here. Games about the horror of existence. And in this time, uncertain times, a new interesting American presidents, wars all over the globe, looming climate crises, I thought that I would take you back to a different kind of crisis. Namely, the Second World War, 1940, Norway, a place I'm sure you've never heard of before. And that is the village of Hegra. You see, in the early 20th century, there were tensions between Norway and Sweden. And Norway were actually fearing that they would be assaulted by Sweden and invaded. So one of the things they did was that they built certain fortifications. And one of those fortifications were built outside the village of Hegra. And as it happened, the Swedish invasion never came. So the fortress just stood there, languished. The old cannons rusted, snow fell upon it, froze up, rubble and debris started covering the rooms and the corridors, until it was basically just a feature of the landscape, like some weird rock outcropping of ancient architecture that reared its head over the village of Hegra. Then, in 1940, the Germans decided that they needed to invade Norway to get access to the coastline and to the natural resources. And Norway kind of scrambled to make some kind of defensive measure. And the British and the French promised that if only the Norwegians, they would hold out for a bit, they would come to the rescue. And so there were multiple minor battles around Norway. And what we're going to be focusing on today is the battle that took place near Hegra. And of course, since there was this old fortification outside Hegra, that seemed to be an obvious place to try to make a stand against the Germans. So there was this small group of Norwegians. It amounted to less than 200 people who were trying to stem the tide of the German invasion. And as you will soon see when we start playing the game takes place in several phases, where at the beginning of the game, the invasion hasn't really started yet. And then as we progress through the game, we will see more and more German activity, and in the end, we will indeed be overrun. I think there are a chance that someone might survive, but let's see about that. Let's save that for later. So, the first phase of the game, we're basically going to be trying to recruit volunteers down from the village of Hegra, saying, "Hey guys, if you're up in the fortress with us, it's not so super dangerous. We're going to protect you and we're going to keep the Germans back. And I know there's not a lot of us, but we're Norwegians, we're patriotic. We're going to stem the German tide." So we're going to try to convince the villagers to really join the war effort. And then we're also going to try to take supplies back up to the fortification because there's nothing there. It's completely covered in ice and snow, which also means that we actually have to dig down through layers and layers and layers of snow in order to find sort of parts of the old fortification. So right now there is kind of one gun, you can see it here on the map, which is it's not really functioning right now, but we can see it and it can be repaired. But we may be able to find other guns if we dig down further through the ice and the snow and other interesting things. So we're going to do that, and we're trying to make the best possible vantage point before the actual invasion starts, because at that time, whatever we got is what we got, and it's going to be really difficult to get anything more at that point. So the first few phases are going to be very important for us to try to build a defense, and then the rest of the game will just be about the Germans whittling down that defense until there's no one left, or maybe someone is left, who knows. So as you can see, this game is quite a bit more complex than the other games we usually do on our joint streams, where we mostly just play storytelling games, really. Here, there's a lot more mechanics, there's a lot more stuff going on. I'm not at all going to try to explain the rules to you, but I am going to try to explain constantly what it is that I'm doing in the game, so hopefully you'll be able to follow along. And I just want to give like a few brief overview pointers before we start. So what you see up here, the map part of it, that is really the village of Hegra down here at the bottom. And then you have different routes leading up towards the mountain or the outcropping or whatever it is, where the fortress is located up here. And then everything we have back here actually has to do with the fortress. Here we have the medical ward. We have 3 beds should someone become injured, which we hope not. We hope that everyone will be fine. But we do have 3 beds. So that's our max capacity here at the little infirmary. And then we have some various actions we can do here. We can shovel snow, we can repair guns, we can even promote volunteers to regular soldiers if we have an officer around to help out with that. And then you can see this big pile of stuff lying here. I turn it sideways, you can see it better, is really a big pile of snow. And we can dig through that snow and see if we can find things that might help us in the defense down there. And then over here on our left flank, that is really the wall up here. This is the wall facing somewhere down here, facing down the hill. So at one point, the Germans will be coming against this wall, and they will be coming from down here. That's just how it's represented visually to make everything fit onto the game. And right now, we have fortifications here, but again, they're all broken down. As long as these counters are here, as long as these counters are on the gun, it means they're broken, they're unable, we cannot do anything with them. So we really need to repair them. But we really need to do a lot of stuff, and we can't do everything, and that is the problem. Because up here, you see, these are actually our men right now. We have 6 men. So in reality, there were more men in the fortification, but I like to think of each of these little counters here as a single person. Let me see if I can get this thing. There you go. This is a soldier, shown by the 3 cartridges there. And here is an officer, shown by the star. And finally here, my favorite, the fork. That's the volunteer. Or maybe it is kind of a snow pitchfork. I don't know. Can we? Yeah. There we go. Perfect. So these are our 6 men, 3 soldiers, 2 volunteers, and an officer. And yes, shoveling snow is indeed a very underrated game mechanic. I mean, I can imagine a whole game that's just about shoveling snow. I mean, here it's just like a minor feature in the game, but I would really like to see a game with more snow shoveling, and basically also just more like super simple tasks, like, I don't know, emptying the latrine and cleaning floors and painting walls. And I would love to see more games like that. But here at least is a little bit of a start. So everything up here in the corner, we just don't worry about. All the black things you see here, that's actually German artillery guns. All the black pieces you see out here, they're actually German soldiers, but they're not here right now, so we're not going to worry about them. We'll take care of them or not when they get here. So I think with that out of the way, I'm just going to slowly start playing the game and just, follow along. And please feel free to come with all your best of advice when I'm trying to make these really difficult decisions of what I'm actually going to ask these men to do. So we are in the first phase. The Germans are in. They're not in the area now. They are starting to be some German patrols in the area actually. But right now we still have pretty easy access down to the village, and we're still trying to convince villagers to join us and to send us up supplies. So this is how it looks in the first phase of the game. These are the villagers that we're trying to convince to join us. And when we flip it over, we'll have some information on how to conduct our turn. So this card says, will anyone help us? So first of all, it is snowing. Big surprise. That means that I move the snow counter up here and an extra layer of snow falls. This is bad news because it makes it more difficult to actually get down to these snow counters. So we have to basically move more snow now. So snow shoveling is already being a thing in this game, I can see. Then, because there is doubt, like, will anyone help us? The question is being asked around the halls of the fortification. I immediately lose 1 morale. See, I haven't even done anything, and I'm already losing morale and snowing in. So morale falls. Morale can be really horrible, but you'll see that later. Unfortunately, it also means that the people in the village, they start doubting whether we're actually up for the job. I actually just need to check what the name of the commander is here, because I think we need to know that. So the commander was called whatever. Holtermann. Yes, it sounds almost German, doesn't it? Holtermann. Oh, okay. Well, anyway, Herr Holtermann, yeah, people are kind of doubting my abilities. I take that a little bit in the front, but what that means is that we move the doubt marker 1 up. So over here, there's a track, fear, and doubt. And fear is basically how fearful the villagers are to join us and help out. And doubt is means that when we actually convince someone to join us, they may back out anyway. So that's not so good. Then, additionally, we have to take this recruit bag. So this is basically where we recruit soldiers from. This is part of this game is a bag building game, which means that things go into the bag and we take things out of the bag. So the more good things go into the bag, the bigger a chance of us drawing something good. But right now, something bad is going to go into the bag, which is a doubt marker. And that's one of these little pink, purplish things. So whenever we draw that, well, there's going to be doubt and people will stop joining us. So with that out of the way, it's actually time to start to try to recruit some villagers. So I'm going to shake up the bag and I'm going to draw a villager, I hope. Let's see. Ooh, this guy. That's a hunter. Hunters are good because they're fast. That means they're faster when they're going down to the village to pick up supplies. And they're also good at shoveling snow. They shovel at double speed of normal people, so that's great. Oops. So that was 1, yeah. And how this thing now works is that I can keep drawing up till I have drawn 4. But if at any time I draw a doubt marker, one of those pinkish discs, then I must stop drawing and I must remove anyone I draw down to only 1 man. So it's a kind of a push your luck thing, but I think I'm definitely going to try to draw more men because if I don't do that, there you have it. There's a doubt marker for you. So this hunter guy, he decided to join us, but apparently no one else were really interesting in helping out. Hot damn. Well, at least we got 1 man, and the doubt marker goes back into the bag. Where we are right now is that we have these guys, 3 soldiers, an officer, 2 volunteers, and some local, I don't know, woodcutter or something. And they got to do something. We don't have like a lot of time, and there are various things they can do. So obvious things include shoveling snow, and this guy here, he's especially good at shoveling snow. And the officer here, he can promote volunteers to soldiers, but that may be a little wasteful right now because I think we need to, repair our guns and need to repair our defensive positions, and we may also need to send someone out here, even though it is snowing, which makes it a little bit difficult, which means actually that no one can make it all the way down the hill today. But we should think of sending someone down here to pick up some of these supplies that are waiting for us down here. But I think we have to wait till tomorrow and hope that the snow has stopped tomorrow, because otherwise it's a little bit of a waste. So I think I'm going to ask this guy. He's good at running to the village, but I'm going to ask him to shovel snow instead, because he's really good at that. Then I also want to just check something here. Yeah, I also want to start repairing stuff. And it takes 2 guys to repair something, so perhaps ask the 2 volunteers just work at repairing the gun. So we have 1 guy shoveling snow, and we have 2 guys repairing. And I mean, other things we can do, we can of course also we can bolster our defenses, which is, basically preparing for a later stage when airplanes start coming in, bombing us. We might want to prep for that a little bit. We can send people out on a supply run, but as I said, it's snowing today, so it's not really obvious conditions. We can also just inspire someone to raise our morale. And since our morale just dropped before because of this doubt that's accrued around Captain Holterman, our leader, maybe we should actually try to raise morale among our people, because our officer is especially good at that. He's actually the only one that can do it. No, he's not, but he can do it alone. Otherwise, you need 2 men to do it. It's the same with shoveling snow. Normally, you need 2 people, but when you get one of these guys, he can do it all by himself. So we're going to shovel snow. We're going to repair some stuff. We're going to have the Captain Holterman in the background inspiring his workers. And then perhaps we're just going to repair some more stuff with these 2 last guys, or we could shovel more snow. Well, I mean, if we shovel more snow, no, let's repair some stuff. That requires 2 guys, and then there's just 1 guy left, and unfortunately he cannot really do anything on his own. So maybe I'm just going to leave him, because right now he's over here, he's ready. Everyone who works, they get tired and have to rest and have to consume supplies. So we'd actually rather want to try to not spend all of our supplies right here from the get-go. I don't even know why we have so few supplies, but we have only 1 supply. How do you get supplies? We have to make raids. See, I'm already starting getting worried. Okay, let's do this. So what we've done... wait a sec. I forgot that. We could also negotiate with the villagers, and we can also open new supply routes. Well... we do have like a lot of doubt. I don't know. Should we negotiate? Should we open a new supply route? Nah. I'm gonna inspire the people to try to get back their morale. Let's do that morale boost. So once I have assigned the people to the various tasks, we're just going to go through all the tasks and resolve them. And see, a lot of the tasks no one has been assigned for, because we're way too few men to keep this thing running. And I mean, it's still under ice and snow. Doubt is the only thing in supply. Yeah, it seems like it. Okay. See, I already have a bad feeling, and we haven't actually really even started. But that's what this game does to you. So let's shovel some snow. So we will shovel snow, and for everyone who shovels snow, this marker... Oh, so we can actually ask him to shovel snow. It's good. We're going to take this soldier. I forgot that you can also shovel snow, just one man. So this just means that we have a soldier shoveling snow, and he's shoveling together with the hunter. So that counts 3 total, which means that the snow level falls down 1, 2, 3. So when it falls down 1 level more, we're going to be able to take one of these snow pieces and see what we find covered under the snow. So these 2, they just shovel snow the whole day. They get real tired, so we put them up here in the tired area. And then we have 4 guys out repairing stuff. And 4 guys repairing stuff mean we can repair 2 things. One thing I really like to have repaired is a gun, or at least 1 barrel of the gun. So we can do that by removing this gun broken marker. And then instead we get a little target there, which means that now we can actually hit something. The problem with the gun, though, is it's old and rusty. It's going to jam the whole time. So we probably need to repair it even more. But I'm now going to put this gun down into this kit bag, and we'll return to that later. So we can repair 1 more thing. And we could already now start basically repairing our fortifications, so we can stand against the wave of Germans when they come, because we know they will come at some point. Or we can keep on repairing the gun. I kind of like to try to be a little bit ahead of the Germans, so I think I'm going to try to repair this fortification, or it auto succeeds, so I repair it. And I also put that one down in the hit bag. So those were our 2 volunteers and our 2 soldiers. So all that's left now is the officer. Whoa. And the officer, he is just going to inspire his people, tell them you're doing a great job, guys. I know you didn't shovel all the snow that you wanted to, and I know you didn't repair everything you could, but 1 step at a time, we'll get there. So morale goes up by 1, which means that it is now stable again. Before we were in the negative, now we're just at 0. We really want to try to have a positive morale, but yeah, it may be difficult. So once we have done all these actions, there are, more actions could of course have been done, but no one was there to do them. So, and no one's in the infirmary, so we don't have any actions to do in the infirmary right now. So what we do now is we go to look at the morale, and we see if we have any morale modifiers, if this morale marker is going to go up and down further. And for example, if we were completely out of supplies, morale would drop deeper. And if there were dead soldiers in the morgue, morale would fall, and so on and so forth. Various things can cause it to fall. The only thing that can raise it at this point is if we're at a low doubt level. And as we've just seen, doubt is just through the roof here. No one trusts that this thing will succeed. So basically, our morale ends at a net 0, which means that nothing happens. Nothing good, nothing bad. It's okay. Morale is going to be a real pain later. So what happens now is that down here, actually, you cannot see it because it's just below the screen. I'm just going to move the turn marker. There is 11 turns in this game maximum. Morale can go to minus. We were at -1 before, but we, through the efforts of Holtermann, we managed to get up to 0. So thank you, Holtermann, because otherwise we would have had to drop even down further. Various bad things happen, and the lower the morale is, the more bad things happen. If we get it up in the plus, it means that good things can actually happen, but that's kind of rare. So I'm going to move into the next turn, and what we see now is that we start having German patrols. So I'm going to reach down in the patrol bag, and I'm going to draw some German patrols and see where they show up. And there are 2 of them coming, and they both show up in the same place. They are both over here. 2 German patrols right there. And that basically means that, as you can see, there are kind of pathways down the map here from the fortress to the village. And the Germans are now blocking down here. So we can send someone down if we want, but it's a little bit difficult to sneak past them. And if we do, it raises the suspicion levels. And we can also send soldiers out to fight them, which can be a good thing. But again, we risk soldiers getting injured. So what we really want is just to make sure that there are no patrols on the path down to the supplies. And we can get other supplies out here if we want. But again, it all requires us to have more actions. And since we only got one man from the village last turn, it was a really, really poor start. Yes, Tatsavitra, this is kind of the grizzled solitaire. It's a more complicated simulation in the sense that it is, it just takes you through, all the tiny little bits of pain and anguish that in the grizzle you normally just resolve by a card. You actually have to go through multiple steps just to demean yourself and your men as you play. And yes, as I said earlier, but you may not have heard, we are in Norway in 1940, April. So what happens now is that we have entered a new turn, the German patrols are out, and we're going to see what the weather is like. As you remember, yesterday it was snowing, so let's hope for better weather today. And as you can see by the little cloud symbol there, it's just cloudy. It's actually not snowing, which is great news. So I'm going to put the weather marker down on the cloud, and then it says here, one of your patrols ran into a German patrol in the forest north of Hegra. So there's been a little skirmish in the forest north of Hegra, and one of our men has been wounded. It's one of the volunteers. So we have to take a volunteer, one of these guys, the forks as I call them, and injure him. And that works by us throwing a die to see how badly he was injured. The higher I roll, the lighter the wound. So let's see. That's a 3 right there. So that's a pretty, that's not very good. He's in a quite bad way, actually. So we're immediately going to put him in one of the infirmary beds. We have 3 of them, but now we already have a wounded volunteer. So that was a bit of a bad start. It's finally it's not snowing, and you go for a walk, and some German takes a shot at you, right? And I can see that more doubt accrues. So we're going to take another doubt token and put it in our recruit bag. And we now have 3 doubt tokens in this recruit bag and not enough other people. Yeah, we all know the feeling. We all know it. Let's see if we can recruit some men. Let's see. Okay. So again, like before, we're trying to draw men, not doubt tokens. And we can draw a maximum of 4 men, but if we draw a doubt token, we're going to lose everyone we drew down to 1 man. So the first thing I draw is another hunter. Well, that's great. Another snow shoveler. And I put him in the ready area. Then I am going to take that was 2. It's a volunteer. And when we get a volunteer, they always bring supplies. They come down from the village, so they got a loaf of bread or a side of mutton or whatever they have. So we're actually going to get a supply, which we're going to put here. And as you'll see in a minute, supplies are extremely important because without supplies, our tired men just stay tired. It's when you wake up and there's no food in the fridge and you cannot buy any food, you're just going to lie there and there's going to be nothing around to get your energy up. So I do not have to draw 4. I can stop whenever. It's a push or lock thing. And actually, I shouldn't take the supply right now because we're, of course, still in the push or lock phase. So I've drawn 2 now. I can try to draw a third, but if I draw a doubt token, one of these guys are going to go away. But we only drew one guy last turn, so I have to get someone. So I have to take my chance here. And if I draw a doubt token, well, it's going to be an early night, but that's all right. But look, it wasn't. It was actually a medic, and that is perfect because we got a wounded comrade in the infirmary. And I think I'm going to stop here. Well, the odds is, a number of tokens in this bag, 3 of which right now are doubt tokens. I don't know what the total number is, but it's not enough for me to feel comfortable drawing anymore. We got 3 people, and that's pretty good. So we got a supply, and these guys, they start in fresh. So that's all good. Then, for each supply that we spent, we can take 4 people and move them from tired into ready. So we're definitely going to spend 1 supply to move 4 people. And we want our hunter in because he's good at shoveling snow and running errands, and we kind of need that right now. So that's 1. We're also going to need a couple of soldiers, I'm sure, and I think we should also take our officer because he is also pretty important. So now the question is, should I spend that last supply to get just 2 more guys ready for today, or should I just let them slide into the rest area and then they'll be out next turn? I don't know. I mean, we don't have a lot of supplies coming in, so I'm feeling a little bit stingy with the supplies. Perhaps not overuse them. So I think I'm just going to say, let the volunteer and the soldier rest, and the rest of these guys can go to work. So I can, of course, also spend morale. For each morale I spend, I can get 2 more guys across. So should I do that? Instead of using supplies, just use morale. Yeah, why not? I know it was a hard day yesterday. I can see you look kind of tired, guys. But, we're fighting for the survival of Norway, of your country. I mean, you just got to get out a bit early and help out. So, and they kind of, grumble and say not so nice things behind my back, and everybody's mood drop because, people thought that, well, seeing that we actually have to even use sort of the really spent and tired people and just force them out of bed to work. It's not a good sign. Rise and shine. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Tatsavitra, I'm at 0 morale. I was at 0 morale. Now I'm at -1 morale. The morale track goes down to -4, but if you hit -4, then people start defecting. So we're going to try to avoid that. But look at all these wonderful guys. They're going to come out and help out. So we have some serious snow shovelers, and we got different things we want to do here. Because right now, because it's just cloudy, it means that we can actually move 5 spaces if we run, and that is enough to take us down to the village where we can pick up supplies. And I think that we're in such a dearth of supplies that I want to assign 2 hunters to just go down and pick up supplies. Then I also really want to assign a volunteer to shovel snow, because if we shovel 1 more snow, we get to uncover something in the snow, whatever it is. It may be helpful, it may be not. So I'm going to put him there to shovel snow. Then, I don't know. We need to repair more stuff, guys. Our guns is like semi-functional. We could fire the guns, but those patrols are far away and they're not really blocking our access to supplies. I'm not going to fire any guns, I think. but I definitely want to repair more guns. So I'm going to repair more guns with 2 of these guys. And I think I'm gonna take the officer and send him down to the village to negotiate with the villagers. You can do that down here, and that can help lower doubt and fear amongst the villagers. And on the one hand, I'd really like to lower the doubt because but I also know that if I don't lower the fear, then when the Germans come, people will start defecting. So, yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to choose, but I'm definitely going to send my officer down to negotiate with the people. It may be we'll find the bodies of our fallen comrades under the snow. I hope for something more positive, but in this game, you never know. You never know. The question is now also that since we have good weather, we have 2 guys out running, perhaps we should try to open up a new supply route to get some new supplies out there. It requires 2 men, so basically a volunteer and a soldier could do that, and we could set out more supplies. So that would mean that we could either ask the villagers to bring us more soldiers, like this, or to give us more moral support like this, or to help us basically make distractions for the planes when they come in, so they're less likely to hit us. That's in a little bit further future, but if you don't, it can be a big problem. So more soldiers. I think soldiers and morale. The problem with soldiers and morale is that right now they're in that part of the village that's blocked by the Germans. So yes, Tatsevitzer, that mist token looks actually useful. There's also a token here where you can remove patrols, but I think I'm gonna use these 2 guys to open up a airplane distraction, whatever. I don't know. Some local guys will sit with their radios and mislead the German fighter pilots, bomber pilots. I think that's it. And then we have this one guy, the medic, who can either shovel snow or perhaps more likely go into the hospital and treat somebody. So the medic can actually treat 2 people. So from an efficiency standpoint, it would not be so efficient to use my medic to treat just 1 guy. It's better when we got 2 wounded. But so we could ask him to shovel snow, but I feel like then I would be obliged to just lower the morale, because if you have a volunteer lying in the infirmary in a bed with a gunshot wound, and we just sent the medic out shoveling snow, that doesn't look good. So I am going to send him into the infirmary to try to patch up our friend. All right, so when all that's said and done, let's see what happens. We open up a new supply route. The soldier and the volunteer travels down to the village and tells them, look, could you please set up some radio channel and make sure that you get the British to help you to distract the German planes. So we're going to put that down here. We need to go down and pick these tokens up before they're going to help us. But now at least they're there. And very soon we'll not be able to set up more supply routes because the Germans are going to shut the village down. Then we're going to send Holtermann down to the village to negotiate. And is he going to negotiate their fear or their doubt? Well, that's an existential question for you right there. I think I've already made up my mind that he's going to try to lower their fear. He's going to say, look, understand that you're doubtful. We don't know if we're going to live another day, but, whatever you do, the thing is, don't be afraid. This is a good cause. You got nothing to fear. Even if you die, you're going to die with a clean conscience. So Holtermann, he talks them down a little bit because we really don't want defections, especially now that we didn't get a lot of people on the first day. So then we're going to shovel some snow. We have a volunteer, and he's just out there, shoveling snow, digging down with his spade through the ice, and then he strikes upon something. And what does he strike upon? He strikes upon hidden tools. Oh, there's a cache of tools. And it says, repair 1 damaged tile or add 1 miss. So that's an instant effect. So he just finds some really useful tools, which means that he can actually repair something. So he can also build a defense against the planes, which would cause us to put a miss token in the bag, the hit bag. But I think I'm going to ask him to try to bang some of the rust off that second barrel of the gun. Yeah, this is totally the Grizzle. This is an immersive war experience, which is more... there is fighting in this game later, but right now it is really just like cooking and keeping warm and digging snow and banging off rust off those gun barrels. So I'm going to remove, and you can see the horrible feeling of actually cleaning out that gun barrel, because what is beneath this? There's just an empty. We can't even shoot with this part of the gun. But we repaired it anyway, and it's okay, because, yeah, it's okay. I hope. Jesus. This thing. Okay. So that was good. So our volunteer who was digging snow, he actually managed to find something. And now the snow level rises back up to 3. So, and when we dig it down to 0 again, we get to reveal a new thing. So it's good to keep on assigning people to dig snow. But as you can already see, there's already more things that we want to do than we can do. Then we have the 2 soldiers, and they are also going to do a repair. And they could, of course, repair the fortification, but I actually think I want to fully repair this gun, because now it means that it is as efficient as it can be. And I know from experience that this gun jams when you fire it. It jams all the time. So you really want to repair it as much as you can, as quickly as you can. But right now it's in really fine shape. And if something shows up, we can even shoot at it next turn. Wouldn't that be fun? Snow level rises as moral falls. Yeah, those things go hand in hand. There's a wonderful synergy right there. Then we have to send out a supply run. I actually had to send that out earlier, but it doesn't matter. And as I said, because it's just a clouded day, we can move 5 spaces. Right before it was snowing, which meant we could only move 4 spaces. We would be 1, 2, 3, 4. That is not down to the supplies, which means that it would take us an entire extra turn to get into the village and get the supplies. But now instead, we have these 2 guys. So I'm going to send one of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, down to pick up supplies. And I'm going to send another one of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, down to pick up miss tokens. That is a metaphor for air defense, basically. And then finally, in the infirmary, a doctor... there was one doctor assigned historically in the infirmary. She was she was known as the Lotte from Hegra. And the Lotte from Hegra makes sure that this volunteer, that his wound is bound up. And I mean, he's not feeling jolly, but she's like, if you just use the other arm, I think you'll be fine. And she sends him back out into the fray. And she's also tired after healing him. So they're all tired now. Then we have come to the point where we look at the morale track. And now the situation again is morale is right now at -1. The only way we can get the morale up at this point would be if our doubt was 3 levels lower than it's possible than it is right now, which is also one of the reasons that I didn't even bother starting lowering it before, because I don't think that we'll ever get the doubt down so low that it's going to have an impact. So we're just going to have to suffer a -1 morale effect, which means that we're going to take 2 low morale cards and we have to spend one of them. So let's see what they are. As you can see, this is the face of low morale. And the 2 effects that we get are the ones that are written on top here because we are in the mobilization part of the game. And one of them says, increase suspicion 1 level. The suspicion track is out here, and that actually determines how likely German patrols are to catch us when we move past areas that they're occupying. So that's one thing we can do, raise the suspicion. Or we can add a despair card to the high morale deck. And you know what? I mean, a little despair. Has that really ever hurt anyone? I mean, it's just, what it basically means is if the morale is ever high, there's a chance that even though it's high, people just despair. But I have this feeling that we're never going to have high morale. I know it's, yeah, I know it's not, I mean, this is Captain Holterman speaking to himself. I'm not saying this to my men, of course, but I kind of think that I'm just going to stack the deck and add some despair to the high morale deck. So I'm going to discard and effect this card. And the card that I'm not using, I'm going to shuffle back in. So that's another horrible thing, that even when you find horrible cards in this deck, if you effectuate them, you know that they're going to show up a little bit later. So it's just going to be worse and worse. Behind every silver lining is a cloud. Yeah, I think that's exactly how it goes. And as you can see here, it says right there, despair. So there is now despair in the high morale. There is indeed clouds behind the silver lining. The good thing, though, is that once you have taken this penalty, your morale resets to 0. So there is that at least. Okay, back to 0. Then we move the turn marker. Nothing happens at the end of this turn, but at the end of the next turn, basically the prep phase is over and the Germans start coming. So as you can see, this go really fast. So we have to start a new turn. We have to pick a new card. And this time the card looks like this. And as you can see, it's sunny weather. Come on, this is getting better and better. Snow, clouds, sun. This is how we want it to go. And that means that we can move even further out here on the terrain. It's more navigable, which is a very good thing. Then, unfortunately, it also says that more patrols start showing up. The text reads, we're getting reports on German soldiers being placed around the farms on the way to Hegra. So yeah, more German soldiers are showing up in the territory. It's going to get more and more difficult to go down to the village and get the supplies from the villagers who are really risking their lives to help us up here. So I'm going to pick 2 more German patrols. A 1. This is horrible. And a 5. Yucks. Okay. What you can see here happening right now is that I'm actually placing a patrol right in front of our guy who has made it down to the village, but he hasn't taken the goods back to the fortress now. And now there's a guard stationed right outside the village. So he somehow has to get past this guard. Yeah. Okay. Good. A good thing is, though, suspicion is only at 1. If I had raised suspicion before, it would be more difficult to get past the guard. So there's that. Okay. Then more doubt, as usual. More doubt accrues. We put more doubt into the recruit bag. And yeah, we're going to see if we can recruit some more volunteers. Let's see. The first one. Can you believe this, guys? The first one I drew was a doubt. I mean, I'm beginning to think that I should maybe consider what the odds are when you draw from this bag, because This is horrible. The game is lenient, though. When you draw a doubt token as your first token, you may keep on drawing until you draw one volunteer. Is there any win conditions, or is the true reward more despair? Well, it's a good question. There is a surrender condition, and it's really about which condition you're in when you surrender, whether you're dead or you're still alive. There is a very ahistorical possibility of a German retreat, but I don't. I think it's just there to taunt and to tease, because I don't think it's really realistic to achieve a German retreat result here. But it's there, and I guess it's good that it's there, so you can look at it and think, well, it might have been possible. It was probably just me who screwed up. I could have done better, but yeah, no. What usually happens is some kind of surrender, and if you end up with an unconditional surrender, that just means that you're completely overrun, which is probably what happens most of the time. But it is possible to have an honorable surrender, but let's see about that. So I draw another doubt token. This is great. I'm spending all my bad luck here. And a volunteer. So the good thing about drawing a volunteer is that he comes with a supply. So we're happy about that. Yeah. No, I don't think winning the war from a small Norwegian village is what German retreat actually means. I think it just means that the Germans, they retreat their forces and then they come back in strength a little later and overrun us. It's like happy endings in movies. They're right before the bad things start happening. So I need to put the doubt tokens, of course, back into the recruit bag, because they never leave the recruit bag once they're there. So it's a bright new day. We have new recruits, and we are gonna see what we can do today. Can volunteers turn out to be turncoats traitors? Not that I know of. I think there is actually something that can happen, like a German infiltration or something. I've never experienced that. But what they can do is that they can start defecting if they lose faith in you as a commander. And I mean, I know that if I was in that castle, especially if I was the commander, I would have defected long ago from myself. So that's it for self-confidence. Okay, guys. I have 2 supplies. Each of these supplies allow me to make 4 tired guys ready. And I have 8 guys. So you do the math. 2 supplies and 8 guys over, which means everybody's ready again. So that is great. That is actually really great. Now, today is the last day before the Germans take over the village. So we really need to spend our time wisely. It's also a sunny day, which means it's easy to move through the landscape. So we also have guns and we can fire. And that actually means that we could fire to get rid of some of those patrols before we return to the fortress. That might actually be a good thing. It requires 2 soldiers to fire the gun. So now I'm just going to provisionally put 2 soldiers here on the gun. And each of the guys we have out picking up supplies, they can carry 1 supply. And there are 3 of each of these supply tokens in the depot. So we definitely need to get more people out to pick up supplies. So we could send a soldier out. We could send volunteers out. Soldiers are, soldiers are good because they can fight, but I don't know if we can afford to send, so especially if we're bombing. If we're bombing the patrols, we could, of course, also bomb the airfield. If we bomb the airfield, that can increase our morale and also make it more difficult for the German planes later. But I think we're going to just stick to what's right in front of us, which is basically the German patrol. So I think we're going to try to bomb them with the artillery, and I think we're going to try to send out a couple of volunteers. I mean, they're from the village, you know. They know their way around. They know who to ask. They know, like, who in the village has the good meat and the bread that's not too stale and the brandy, of course. They know that. So I'm going to ask them to do that. And then I feel I have too few soldiers. So I think I'm going to ask, I could ask my sergeant to promote a volunteer to a soldier. But can I really afford that? I could also ask him to negotiate the fear level. So the fear level drops, meaning, again, that fewer of my people, they run away in terror in a minute when the Germans start coming. So that might be a better use of him. And then I would really like to shovel away a new layer of snow. The only problem is that if I do that, I cannot repair. But I did repair so much last time that maybe it's an okay use. So if perhaps I just put 4 people in shoveling snow, that would mean, yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. Okay, so everybody shovel as much snow as you can, because we really need to find more equipment. Right now, I mean, we found a hammer, right? That's what we found. And then we've sort of dusted off this old gun, but we need to find more equipment. The Germans, we're hearing rumors. I mean, we can hear the rumble in the distance of the German trucks bringing soldiers. And there's even radio traffic showing us that there are German planes out there as well, heading our way. And we haven't even bolstered our defenses. Okay, I see a million problems here, actually. And we should probably repair more. But we can't do anything, so we're just going to do what we can do. All right, so Captain Haldeman one more time goes down to the village and says, look, guys, I know the Germans are coming, but, you know, you're safer up in the fortress than you are down there in your homes. You think they're going to treat you nice down in the village? I mean, do you want to live your life in servitude under fascist rule? No. Come up to the forest, you know? Have an honorable death, basically, is what I can promise them. So Captain Haldeman, he makes sure that the fear levels in the village drop. He calms people down a little bit. Say, don't be so nervous about it, you know, it's going to be good. Then comes the artillery. So, yeah, shovel snow, that'll teach the kids the value of honest labor. Yeah, it's a lot of snow shoveling. It is. But let's see what we find. First, I'm going to fire our gun. I mean, we just beat the rust off this gun. We don't even know if it fires properly, but we're going to try to aim it down here at the patrols at the far end, and we're going to see if it works. So, let's see. We have right now 2 of these target markers revealed, which means that we can hit 2 targets in the same one row. So we're going to, of course, choose the one row where all the patrols are right now, and we're going to remove this patrol and this patrol. So we basically blow these 2 patrols to smithereens and put them back in the patrol bag. And that clears up the way for our men to get back with the supplies. So this is actually super important. So that was a great move, I think, I hope. And then comes the supply run. So since it's a sunny day, we can travel 6 spaces across the landscape here. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then they have to stop when they're picking up supplies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and stop to pick up supplies. And then we're going to get our other guys home. The thing is that when you return with goods from the villages, you move 1 space less. Now, since it's a sunny day, it's not really a problem because you can normally move 6 spaces. So today you can just move 5 with a supply marker, and that's enough to get you home. But on other days, that 1 space less that you can move when you're carrying something might make the whole difference that you don't make it home that day. And that is horrible. Then you have to camp out in the wild, and the supplies are not going to get back to the fortress in time. It's not good. But we've sent out our best men, our strongest men, our local farm boys, the woodcutters, whatever, and they do not get that penalty when they carry goods because they're strong and they're fast. So they're just going to run home. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the moment they get home, what happens is that for each of them that gets home, the morale gets raised by 1. So we're now at morale +2. Unfortunately, suspicion is also raised. Like there's rumors of activity going on. The Germans are aware of that. So suspicion rises from 1 to 3. If suspicion is above 6, something bad happens. I can't remember what, but let's hope it doesn't get there. Then for each of these we bring back, we get 2 supplies. And whatever is on this marker. So on one of them, we get a further supply. So now we have 5 supplies. And we also get to put a miss token in the bag. We already did that once before. So let's see. Here we go. How much is in here? Let's see. 2. Yeah, I think that should be fine. Okay. So they bring back the goods, which is great. A little bit of success, a feeling of success. They're, of course, tired after running through the forest and climbing up the hill with all that stuff on their backs. But look at this. We got 2 volunteers out, and they're also picking up stuff. And with a bit of luck, they're going to get home tomorrow and bring us even more good stuff that we need. So let's have our fingers crossed that nothing happens, that no Germans show up, which is very unlikely. Now, the thing is that the moment actually that we bombed these German patrols, what I forgot and what I need to do now is actually have to check whether there's a jam in the gun. I do that by rolling a die, and I consult a number out here on the map. And since we're shooting pretty far, it's kind of more difficult to keep the gun working. So I roll a die. I need to roll a 5 or a 6 to avoid a jam. And I didn't. So what happens is that this one jams. So right now, if we shoot the gun, we can only shoot with 1 barrel instead of 2. That sucks. But well, we can repair it again later. But it's this, constant back and forth, shooting, repairing, shooting, repairing. Yeah, a bit of luck. That's all it takes. Then let's shovel some snow. We have 4 people shoveling, which means 1, 2, 3, we discover something, and 1 more. So we discover one thing, and we've already started digging further. And let's see what it is that we discovered. This is new supplies, 2 supplies. We're finding a lot of supplies. And I mean, it's not that it's a bad thing to find supplies, but I was really hoping to find guns or radio equipment or, medical equipment or something like that. These one-time uses are, I don't know. It means we're up to 7 supplies. We shouldn't complain, but I have a feeling that supplies is not what's going to keep us alive long term. We need some kind of more, I don't know, firepower or barricades or something. But good job, guys. Good job. Good snow shoveling. I'm happy to found some supplies. I wonder how soggy those biscuits you found they are, or how stale the bread, or like old rations that give people lead poisoning and their teeth fall out. And yeah, but at least it's rations. They may be from 1909 when the fort was first built, but it's cold. Things last up here. So that was all my men, which means that now we go to the morale phase. And in the morale phase, we check as usual We have there's nothing that raises the morale further from its +2. We have supplies, no one's hurt, everything is in the clear. So we actually get a +2 morale boost. That means that we can take 3 high morale cards and we can use 2 of them, which is great. So this is of course now where we don't want to draw our despair cards that we shuffled in there. But wouldn't it just be our luck? Nope. Look at that. 3 high morales and no despair. So what we can do here, we can use one of them to put a mist token in our hit bag. We can use one of them to gain a supply, and we can use one of them to lower the suspicion 2 levels. And I think, given the number of supplies that we have, that we might hold back on the supplies and instead use the 2 other ones, which means that, the villagers go out there and they tell the Germans, don't worry, you heard about all these activities, but it's just some boys running around, running around the village at night, having a bit of fun. They're kids, they're not to worry. So they somehow managed to lower the suspicion levels of the German by 2. And also, through our high morale, we managed to perhaps just be able to mentally sustain the bombings a little bit more when they come. So we put a mist token into the hit bag. I think it's pretty well stacked, the hit bag by now. I'm feeling happy about that. And then we put the morale cards to the side, and we shuffle in the one that we didn't take, the one with the supply. We shuffle it back into the deck. And then we reset our morale to 0, which is, of course, never such a happy event, but it happens. And then we conclude the turn, and now we are in the takeover phase of the game, which means now comes the coup. So various things will happen. The first thing that happens is that more patrols show up. So we have a patrol in number 4, and we have a patrol in number 1. So again, we have, this was actually the worst possible outcome, because these 2 patrols, they exactly block the 2 volunteers we have down there. And the volunteers are not soldiers, so they cannot fight their way through. They have to sneak through. Again, the only good thing is that because of a high morale, the suspicion among the Germans are lowered. So there may be a chance still for them to get through. But then the coup happens, or the takeover of the village. So first, because we managed to get fear down to 1, so there's only 1 person who defects from our group, which is great news. But let's see. Let's hope it's not a soldier. And I would never jinx anything by saying something like that. See? This is what happens. It's a soldier. One of our soldiers is not even a volunteer. I mean, how can you, a trained Norwegian soldier, defect from the fortress in our time of need? I mean, even the villagers, even the 16-year-old village boys are hanging around, and this guy defects. Yeah. Cannot even trust your own soldiers anymore. That's pretty crabby. Anyway, what happens more now is that the efficacy of our supplies drops, because basically supplies is not just food. It's really everything that has to do with comfort. And the longer we stay up here, the colder it gets, the longer you live off without being able to boil water because you're afraid of lighting a fire. It just gets worse and worse and worse. So now, before each of the supply cubes we used, they were able to restore 4 guys. Now 1 cube is only able to restore 3 guys. So it's getting worse. Then we have to man our defensive positions. Those are the positions out here. There are 4 positions. We managed to repair 1 of them, and 1 of them was already clear. So we have 2 available spaces, and then we have 2 parts of the fortification that we still need to repair. And I think it may be a problem that we didn't spend more time repairing our fortifications. We also did not manage to raise our defense levels, which means our defense is right now at 0, which is, you can guess, pretty horrible. But we need to place now defenders on the defensive line. Yeah. Now, the thing is, we take the fear and the doubt tracks. They're over. They're done for. They're not going to have any more effect in the game. We're going to turn this board around. And as you can see now, we get a kind of, what can you call that? A kind of assault line up towards our fortifications. So what you see here is basically where German soldiers are going to move up towards the fortress. And we can try to shoot them back. And depending on who we ask to man the fortifications, we can shoot at Germans at a further distance. So you can, for example, see the Germans closest to us, they can be hit by the hunters and the volunteers, whereas the Germans a little further away can only be hit by officers and soldiers. So the question is now, who do you want to man the walls? And of course, the obvious thing, you could just put soldiers out there because they can hit everybody. The only thing is then, we don't have any defense capabilities, meaning that the soldiers are also the one that's going to get shot first. So do we want to put soldiers out there, or do we want to put volunteers? Definitely not hunters, because we need them to shovel snow and make supply runs. It could be volunteers, it could be soldiers. But we also need soldiers to fire our guns. Perhaps we really need to use the officer to train some of those volunteers into soldiers till they become soldiers. One of each? I feel like it's just suicide. Okay, we're going to take a volunteer and a soldier to man the fortifications here. Fair enough. Okay. Now, the time of talking to all these nice villagers here is over. We're in a new phase of the game. We're in the basically first attack phase of the game. So what that means is that now it looks like this. The Germans are down in the village, and they're moving closer up towards our fortifications. So we're, let's see here, Tatsevich said, put those 16-year-olds you mentioned, they'll grow up fast. Yeah, I actually put one of those 16-year-olds, on the unbarricaded part of the defensive walls, which means that he's probably the one to take a bullet first. But then our soldier won't get hit, so he'll just have to learn. I can't really risk putting a soldier out there, especially not since we just had a soldier defect. I mean, I really rather wish that the teenagers would defect, but they didn't. So, as you can see, we aren't very happy because it is snowing again. It's the 4th day and it is snowing again. So the snow level rises. What we dug last time, is already all covered again. We have to re-dig that snow. So that's not good. Then it says, we need to increase the walls defending the fortress. Of course we do. But there's nothing here helping us. But because apparently we haven't sufficiently been working on our defenses, some of those air defenses, they're not going to hold up. Those boxes of cardboard that you taped up there against the wall, it's not going to work. I'm just telling you. So we actually have to take a miss token out of the hit bag, which is of course horrible. There we have it. One miss token, gone. Didn't even get to spend it. Sad story. And then we are gonna recruit more soldiers. And then, after we've done recruiting, a new step comes into the game, which is the German phase. And you'll see what happens then. But first, let's see if we can recruit something other than the doubt of the villagers. Look at that. There's a volunteer. Perfect. Are we going to recruit more? Are we going to try? We are going to try. Because even if we draw a doubt token now, we'll still get to keep our volunteer. Can you believe this? I mean, why are people in the village not trusting me? I mean, why do they have trust issues with me, Captain Halterman? Yeah. More kids. Honorar? Hooray, yeah, I get it. Like kids, yeah, we're being paid in kids here. Well, so doubt basically means that the villagers, they are, sending forth their sons and their daughters to help out, but yeah, the old geezers with the experience, yeah, we can't lure them out of their houses. They're just sitting in their living rooms, smoking their pipes, looking at the war. Good for them. We get a volunteer. The best thing is that mom and dad gave him a slice of cheese. So this young guy comes down with some more supplies for us. So we're pretty well stocked. Halterman, the saint of the Norwegian tundra. That's how I see myself. As the saint. Not just the saint, but the savior of the Norwegian tundra. But it's like, I just don't connect with the villagers. I just don't connect. Yeah, that's true. They are in very real fact, indeed sacrificing their firstborns. Yeah. Okay. What a pleasure. What a pleasure. Okay. So now comes the Germans. 4 of them to begin with. So we're going to take 4 of these guys. Germans. As you can see, the stereotypical silhouette of a German soldier. And 4 of them means that they will start, there are 2 sectors here, and they'll start in the sector furthest from the walls of the fortress. If they get up beyond the second sector, then they'll charge. That's bad. We don't want anyone charging us. So we want to basically try to keep them as far back as we can. But right now, we're going to roll to see how they act down there. They may just sit still. They may try to climb up the hill, or they may start shooting at us. So for each of the German soldiers, we roll a die, and we apply the results. So this was 3 6s and a 2. The 3 6s means 3 Germans are shooting at us, and the 2 means 1 German is doing nothing. It's just hanging back, waiting for the war to start, for the real siege to start. But the other ones, they're going out there and they're taking pot shot at us. And what is not very good about that is that since we have 0 defense, it basically means we take 3 hits. That is, 3 of our guys become wounded. We only have 2 though, so we only take those 2 hits. But we have to see how badly hit they are by the Germans. So first, the kid, the 16-year-old, he is severely wounded. Like, this is a headshot. Like, he is in a bad shape. Like, he is 1 step away from dying. So he's all the way down here. There are these 3 beds, and the further down you are, the closer to death you are, and you have to get all the way up to the top before you're being let back out to do some actual fighting or work in the fortress. So that was our volunteer. Then our soldier. Well, he's also hit. Not as badly, but it's still a wound. So he's right there in the second bed. So those 2 are out until we cure them. And if we have more casualties than we have beds, then things starts getting really bad. Both for the morale and also for the health of the people who don't have a bed to recover in. So the good thing about German shooting, except they just wounded 2 of our men, is that at least they don't advance. So they stay down here in the lower sector. Fair enough. We can somehow deal with that, I think. Then we're going to see. We have to do as much as we can. We have 8 supply. That's plenty. Each supply gets us 3 people from the tired area into the ready area. We have 7 people there, so I think we're just going to spend 2 supplies and get 6 people out. We probably want to have the medic out so we can get that soldier healed. I know the young kid, he's worse off, but first we got to take care of the soldiers, because if we don't take care of the soldiers, there's no one to defend this young kid in his bed. We definitely want the medic. We definitely also, I think, want the soldiers. And then we definitely want our sarge and our 2 hunters. So this volunteer, will give him a day off. He's a teenager, he needs to sleep a lot. We'll give him the day off. And then we are just 7 guys. And what can we even do? There's so much that we need to do. And again, we have no one manning our defenses. If we put someone out manning the defenses, we can actually start shooting at the Germans because they're that far away. And if we don't start shooting at the Germans, it may be a problem. But we could also actually, we could take these 2 soldiers and we could take them to our artillery gun, and they could shoot the artillery gun, because we can also shoot artillery guns at sectors. Even though I would like to shoot those patrols away so we could clear the ground for our volunteers to get back with supplies. But the thing is, if we look at it realistically, it's snowing. Even if the patrols are out of the way, these volunteers are not going to be able to make it all the way back to the fortress. So they'll just have to sneak around those Germans. I'm sure they can do it. Then, what else? Yeah, let's put our medic in the infirmary. Oh, because he can actually treat 2 patients, because it's Lotte. She can treat 2 patients. That's brilliant. She can treat them both. He definitely needs to do that. More supply runs would probably be a good thing, but I don't know that we can really do it. Perhaps we should just... We need to repair that gun, though. Could we... And the thing is, the officer, Halterman, of course, he cannot assist anyone in repairing anything. It's not his work. And we don't have anyone. We also actually need someone to man the walls, because if we have no one manning the walls, then the Germans will just advance and charge. We need to have at least one person there who can take a bullet for us. And again, I'm looking at you, kid. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. We're gonna put a lone kid with a rifle up at the wall to hold back like a small army of Germans. I'm sure he'll be able to do it. He's a good kid. And can set someone to... Should they shovel snow or should they repair? I don't know. I feel like we need to find something in the snow, so I think I'm just going to ask them to shovel, actually. And then I'm going to ask the Halterman, that is myself, to boost the morale of my troops, because I think we need a solid morale boost to get through this. So what happens first is that we have our volunteer Howdy on the walls. He can actually only hit Germans here in the sector closest to the wall, so he cannot hit anything, so he just sits there and doesn't do anything. Then we can fire our artillery. We have 2 soldiers, and they're going to fire the artillery, and they're going to fire down at this sector where the Germans are. And now there's only one of these target icons ready or visible, which means that they kill 2 of the Germans, which is great. 2 Germans get hit by shrapnel and die, and the other 2 are suppressed, meaning they're not doing anything next turn. So perhaps they just saved the life of our young volunteer at the wall. But of course, more Germans are going to show up. But anyway, it was something. Then Unfortunately, we also have to roll to see if the gun actually jams. And shooting down here is pretty close by. So we just need to throw a 3 or more and the gun doesn't jam. So the gun doesn't jam, which is great. So we don't need to do extra repairs. Then we have our 2 hardworking farm boys shoveling snow. And since they're hunters, they double shovel. So they shovel 1, 2, 3, 4, meaning they reveal something under the snow. And this time, the tip of their iron spade hits something hard. And what is it? It's a gun. Look, guys, this here was just what we needed. We've discovered the second gun. We've been looking for it for so long, but now finally we found it. So that's the real positive news. We just found the second gun. We love that. The problem, of course, is that it's completely damaged. So it's going to take a lot of manpower to repair this gun. But if we can manage to repair the gun, we can really shoot a proper barrage at the Germans. So maybe we're going to try that. I'm going to put these guys out in the ready area. Then our Holtermann, he holds yet another one of his famous inspirational speeches, and he just raises the morale. So we're now in the high morale part of the morale track, which is great if we can stay there. I don't know if we can, but I hope so. Then we have our medic, and he can actually treat 2 patients. So even this guy, the young soldier who was hit in the head, it turns out that it looked worse than it actually was. There was a lot of blood, but it was because he had the top of his ear chopped off, so his face was bloody, and everyone thought he got a bullet in the neck, but it wasn't that bad. So they're both out again. They're a little bit tired, but they're out again. Oops, and he's also in the tired area. Oh, all these people are not ready. They're tired. So there you go again. There you go again. A lot of tired people. Oh, and then I am forgetting the supply run here. So what we have to do now is we're trying to, we could stay put, but I think we're just going to try to run. So in order to run past, we can stop here. Just stand there and stop. And if we do that, the suspicion level falls, but we don't get to move any further. Or we can try to move past them, and then we're allowed to move further, but suspicion also rises. And I think, given that they can normally they can move 4 spaces in the snow, which would be here, and since they're carrying something and they're volunteers, they can only move here. So they cannot make it back to the fortress this turn. So I think our best option is for both of them to just stop where the Germans are and just hide. Because they're not going to get back anyway, and this means that our suspicion levels drop down to 0. The Germans think that they have thwarted all illegal activity in the area. We're in the clear. It's just some local farm boys running around. A Trumpian sound. A Trumpian wound. Yes, it was a Trumpian wound. That's true. And he raised his arms in defiance the moment that the Lotte of Hegra, she let her healing hand on his head. So that was all that. So now comes the morale. And see, an interesting thing is that once you're out of the early phases of the game where you're basically prepping the village, and now we sort of combat has started there. Germans are starting to show up and shoot at us. It's no longer, there are no more positive morale modifiers. You can bomb an airfield, or there are things you can do to raise the morale, but there's nothing, there are no passive positive morale modifiers left. That was only the doubt thing, and we never got it because we couldn't lower the doubt of the people. We couldn't make them trust us. But I think, positively speaking, since we have supplies, since we don't have any soldiers in red areas close to the fortress, since we have no one dead, since we have no one wounded and waiting in the hallways, like in Danish hospitals. And since it's not a red day, which means this is not like a very intense day, we actually don't get any negative morale modifiers. So again, contrary to everything that I was saying in the beginning, that you don't get high morale cards, we're actually going to get 2 high morale cards and resolve one of them. This is great news. And these are the 2 high morale cards that we get. And we can use one of them, and they both have the same effect. It says move 2 defenders from the tired area to the ready area. So we can for free just ready 2 of our men. So I think Captain Holderman, he never sleeps, so he of course becomes ready, and his trusted soldier who's always walks one step behind him, his living shadow, also becomes ready. So that was basically us saving a bit of supplies. I could have perhaps hoped for something a little more useful at this point, but we're going to take everything that we can get in order to try to survive this. And then, again, the day marker moves, and we have completed now 4 out of 11 turns, which means that we are probably 1/3 or a little more into the game. So, where were we? Oh yeah, under attack. Let's see what happens today. It is the 5th day of the situation. Both. Yeah. Oh my God, would you believe this card? Seriously? Is it snowing again? I can't biff. It's like it's too much. Oh, we did actually have it down. No, it came up. No, we spent 4. It came down 3, 4. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, it goes up to here. But the problem is that because it snows, our volunteers will not be able to make it home to the fortress even tonight. Like, when will those supplies ever arrive? And we have to move the snow. Oh, the snow is getting thicker and thicker. Will it never end? So snow level rises even further. Now it's at 4. Bad. Okay. I don't know. We're going to try to recruit more men. I don't know how we're going to convince anybody to join us here under these heavy layers of snow. But we'll start this rumor, which is true, that we just discovered the second gun, and it's almost ready to shoot. I mean, there's just a bit of rust that we need to polish off it, and we need to find the shells, but then it's going to be a brilliant gun. So, yeah, and this is what people thought of my story. Doubt. Jeez. We're not getting any men. I think that we're very understaffed here at the fortress. We do have, again, like some kind of stray woodcutter who shows up, and we try to convince him to stay for the night. Yeah, that's all we can do. Too much doubt in this bag. I don't know how to... I think I don't know, we got too many doubt markers in early, I guess. Okay. Unfortunately, more Germans show up. 4 more Germans show up. And when they show up, they start populating here the lowest sector until there are 5 of them. Now there are 5. There are 2 suppressed and 3 more. And then beyond those 5, they go into the next sector. This is a red sector, which means that it basically causes us to lose morale if anyone is in that sector at the end of the turn. So we really, really want to try to get that guy out of that sector. And we do have a volunteer who may be able to shoot. So hopefully something positive will happen. But before something positive happens, of course, there is the German attack. So first down in the lower sector, there are 3 Germans who are taking actions. And a 6, a 1, and a 2 means that one guy is shooting. The others are just staying behind, relaxing. We're very happy about that. I don't know what's keeping them back, but whatever it is, perhaps it's the locals who are somehow distracting them. I can see that story can go in horrible places. So I'll let you use your imagination while those soldiers are not participating. Then in the top sector, it's a 4, which means that this guy, he moves. This is bad because it means he charges. Okay. Great guys. I think this is bad. So the first thing is 1 German shoots. And even though it's just 1 German, because we have no defense, like we have not built our defenses. I don't know why we have not built our defenses. I'm looking at you, Captain Halderman. There is actually a space right here where you can build defenses, but for some reason I've just neglected it. I thought there were more important thing to do. But right now we have another injured young boy because of my inability to give orders to build defenses. And this guy is again seriously, like really wounded, badly wounded. We need a medic to patch him up. The next thing that happens is that this guy charges. And normally when you charge, he would take out whoever's on the walls. But since no one's on the walls, I actually have to look in the rule book because that's bad. So what happens if someone charges and there's no one to charge? Oh my God. Oh my. We have our first casualty, guys. The German somehow managed to overcome one of the tired guys who was sitting there just resting, out of breath, cold, hungry, fearful, shivering. And this German comes across these undefended walls, and with his bayonet or his Luger, he takes the life of one of them. And the way this works, just to keep you in the loop, is you look at the card that you drew last, and you look at that column out in the right with symbols of the different kind of guys. And who's ever at the top is the first type of guy to be killed. And if you don't have any of that type, you take the type below that. So here, if we have a tired soldier, he is the one who got killed by the German. If we don't have a tired soldier, a volunteer got killed, and so on and so forth. So in the tired area, we do have a soldier, and as you know, soldiers are the one we need the most. And we didn't, God damn it, we could have asked the villagers to supply us with soldiers out here in the beginning of the game, but we didn't because we thought that we'd rather have like missed tokens. Like, I don't know what I was thinking. Anyway, one of our soldiers is dead and gone. And that means that he goes to the morgue. And in the morgue means that every day, for every person in the morgue, we're just going to lose 1 morale. Just because there's a body lying in a hallway somewhere in the fortress, and we have to step over that body the whole time. And if at any point there are 3 or more defenders in the morgue, then we start moving towards surrender on the surrender track, which you cannot see, because it doesn't matter that you cannot see, just know that it's bad. So we really don't want casualties, and already now having a casualty is super bad. The only positive is that in this charge, the other guys in the fortress, they managed to overpower the German and kill him. So it's a life for a life, but we have to live with our dead comrade in the hall, and that's really going to tear it up. So that was really not very good. But now we have to see. I don't see when you would have had time and resources to build defenses. No, I'm saying, like, perhaps if I had been able to recruit more men, or, it's, yeah. If I'd built more defenses, I wouldn't have shoveled so much snow. But maybe I shouldn't have been shoveling so much snow. The snow hasn't really given us a lot, like a couple of supplies and a missed token or something. It hasn't been good. We found the gun, but it took a lot to find that gun. But now we have one guy who rested last turn, so he is ready. Then we have 5 more guys, and each of these, we have 6 tokens total. Each is worth 3, so if we spend 1, we can get 3 men into ready. And I think we just have to spend, we have, this is 5, so we're going to go down to 4 tokens, and then we have everyone ready. We're not going to spend morale to get them ready. We're just going to overuse our supplies, I think. I think that's the only way we can do something. Okay, now what? Our guys won't make it back with the supplies. That's bad news, but we have to live with that. I think even though it may seem like a waste of resources right now, that we have to use our captain to train one of these volunteers to become a soldier, because it's only soldiers who can fire the guns. It's only soldiers who are effective at the walls, and we only right now have 2 soldiers. It's not enough at all. We need more soldiers. And the soldiers that we have, should they man the walls or should they fire the gun? I mean, we need to repair also. They could also man the walls and fire. Oh my God, these guys who were suppressed, they're no longer suppressed, by the way. So there's 5 guys standing down here, which means that they probably have to fire the guns to try to kill some of them and suppress the rest. I can't see any other way out. Supply runs is hell in this weather, so we're not going to do that. But we need to repair. We desperately need to repair, but it takes 2 men to repair just one thing. I would like to repair that gun so we get another barrel to shoot with and start repairing gun 2. I think I'm going to do a double repair, just set everyone into repairing guns. But that would, of course, mean that we have no one to man the walls, which increases the chance of a charge, which is really bad. So I think instead, we're going to have to send another of the young kids up on the walls just to have a show for it. So the Germans just think, at least, that there's someone manning the walls. And then we're going to ask the medic. I mean, I know there's someone dying in a bed in there, but I'm going to ask the medic to help repair the guns, because we need guns. If there's more and more Germans are going to come. I mean, this is not going to be easy at all. Okay, so for our first action, we start out. He cannot hit the Germans at this range. We've seen this before. This doesn't work. So instead, we're going to fire artillery. We're going to hit 2 of these Germans. That's great. And we're going to suppress the remaining 3. We're going to roll to see if the gun jams. It does on a 1 or a 2. It did not jam. We're very happy with that, because otherwise we'd have to spend our repair just unjamming it. So that was great. Then we have some extensive repairs. We're going to repair gun number 1. And we're also going to clear out the snow from the first barrel of gun number 2. So this is the most promising thing right now, is that we found that other gun. And I don't know that we'll have time to do any more snow shoveling. Though at some point we may have to do it, because if too much snow falls, then we're going to start getting damaged. Put a band-aid on the broken guns. Pure desperation. Yeah. We have a medic fixing guns. It's not it doesn't look good, right? While people are dying in the infirmary, but we just cannot. We're in such a tight spot that we actually cannot afford to use doctors to do medical stuff. That's not a good sign. But then, behind all the desperation, Captain Holtermann, he is drilling this young recruit, telling him, to be a soldier, you need to be able to hold your gun properly, you need to be able to walk properly, you need to be able to follow orders, you need to not falter in the face of extreme danger. And he educates him to become a proper soldier. So now we have 1 more soldier. I hope that this was worth the effort, because it's kind of expensive, but at least we have 1 more soldier. And I mean, these recruits, I don't know what. They're just gun fodder, right? Oh, and then of course we have our people out here, and they need to move. And they can move 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So they're almost back at the fortress, which means in the next, tomorrow basically, they're going to get back, and we're going to get more supplies and more mist tokens, and that is good. That is good. Then the patient lying in the bed, because he's lying in a bed, he slowly gets better, but it's very incremental. So he just climbs 1 space up the ladder, and there's 4 more spaces before he's fresh. So you can see, without a nurse to treat him, it's going to take a long while before he's back. I mean, the forces may have fallen even before he's out of bed. So that's not very positive. Then comes the morale for the day. And now the problem is that we have someone in the morgue, which means that every time we're going to check for morale, it just drops 1 automatically because we have a corpse lying in the hallway. We should probably get rid of that corpse, but I guess everyone's too busy to bury him. We're not out of supplies. We have no defenders in the waiting area. There are no soldiers in the red area. This is good. And it's not a red day. So yeah. So but we still need to draw 2 low morale cards and then act 1 of them. These are the 2 little cards that we draw. And one of them is add another patrol, and one of them is injure 1 of our men. And I don't think we can afford to have anyone injured right now. So I think we're just going to effect the add another patrol. So another patrol shows up out there in the landscape, but at least none of our guys were injured. I think that's a positive. And patrol back here. And it's number 1. So there's another patrol. And now they come here closer to the fortress. As the game progresses, they come closer and closer, the patrols, to the fortress. And what happens now at the end of this turn is actually that 3 more patrols show up in the area. So with that one we just added, it's a total of 4 patrols. And we really need to get some of those patrols out of the way, because if too many patrols are in the area, then they start, first they take away our supplies, and then they start hitting us hard. But you can see now how difficult it's going to be to get down to any of these. Oh, that was 3. How difficult it's going to be to get down to any of these supplies there. I think we may just have to accept that we're not going to get more supplies from the village. But we still may need to send out soldier raiding parties to kill off some of these patrols. Suspicion levels are extremely low, so it's actually possible to do that without us getting detected and wounded. But yeah, so now is the last day of the first attack, meaning that after today, the siege starts and things start ramping up. So we really need to put on our best show right now and prepare as much as we can, because beginning from next turn, airplanes are going to start coming in and bombing us. So that's not good. Or is it next turn? I can't even remember. We'll see. We certainly need to do something here. So, each of these 4 supply cubes can get 3 men over, and we have 8 men. So if we spend 3, we can get all of them over. It's a lot to spend. Oh, wait a sec. I am jumping ahead of myself. We need to have another card before we start doing anything about that. I was just skipping the German attack here. And that doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. So, look, the sun is out. How wonderful. And now it actually doesn't matter because they're so close to home. But The sun is out for whatever it's worth. But our fuel levels are running dangerously low. So somehow there was a leak in one of our fuel tanks. So one of our supply tokens go out. And that also causes the morale to drop. So what a wonderful start. And under these circumstances, we're now going to try to recruit more people for the war effort. No. Come on. Gotta be a soldier down here somewhere. I unjinxed it. And let's see if we can get another one. 2 soldiers. Okay. I can draw a third one. If it's a doubt token, I only get one of these soldiers. But if it's another soldier or volunteer, I get 3 people. How greedy should I be? No, this is 2 soldiers. I gotta stop at 2 soldiers. I mean, this is whether I get one more volunteer. I don't think that's gonna make a whole lot of a difference. I'm gonna stick to these 2 soldiers. Look at this, and they come in ready. Okay, we really need to do something strong now. But since we just lost the supply, and now, yeah, then that even changed the situation. But before that, we have Germans coming, of course. And we have 4 more Germans coming. Oh! German fell to the floor. Got him. 2 Germans in the lower sector, and these 2 other Germans, they are going to go beyond them in the sector at the top. So we have more forces amassing down at the foot of the fortress, and some of them are really, really close to the walls. And our walls, as you can see, is just manned by this, like, one teenage kid with pimples, you know. Yeah. Not good. Let's see what they do. Down here at the furthest sector, there are 2 soldiers, and one of them stays behind, and the other one decides to move further up the hill. Up here at the top, both soldiers decide to fire their guns. The 2 soldiers who fire their guns, they very easily pick out our young friend here, who gets wounded. He gets shot in the arm, but we have a bed ready for him. We're still not too many people to fill up our beds, so that's okay. But he does take a wound. But no one charges, which is the most important thing, though this guy moves up here. And then these guys become unsuppressed. So as you can see, like, forces are really building up, and this is going to be a problem for us. Now, finally, we get our guys out. And each of these cubes can get 3 people out, and we definitely want our officer and 2 soldiers out. And we probably want another soldier. And do we want... Yeah, we should probably get the medic. I mean, if nothing else, just to make sure that we have empty beds, because the Germans are going to come very soon. So we're going to take these here, and then we have 2 more left. And I mean, we could use that last supply, but the thing is, then we have no supplies, and then morale drops even further. We could voluntarily drop morale to get these guys out, but I have a feeling that we have to hold on to that supplies. We're going to get more. Well, we're going to get more supplies now, so we could actually do it. But we could actually do it. Will it work? Hey. I don't know. We can also... I mean, the thing is, I don't know, but I don't even know if we actually need the Sarge. He can, of course, increase the morale. Yeah, no, well, status is not real good. We got 2 wounded in our beds. We got Germans amassing at the foot of the fortress, and we can hear the planes in the distance. They're getting closer. And we're just about to spend our last supply in order to get as many men ready as we possibly can to make like as much preparation as we can before the actual siege begins in a minute. So we have no supplies left, but at least I know that we're going to get supplies because we got 2 guys out bringing back supplies. So I think it's going to be fine. For now, anyway. So what do we do? How do we set about this? I mean, we can shoot now here, and because we have so much, we can actually seriously damage their positions by taking just 2 soldiers. So we're definitely going to do that. Then we need someone to man the walls. And I think we also need to make sure to somehow bolster our defenses. I think it's really important, actually. So perhaps this time we can take a soldier and a hunter, put them out on the walls, and then we can ask 2 hunters to bolster our defenses. We can put the medic into work in the infirmary. We can set the Holtermann to increase the morale. And then these 2 final soldiers, I think they're going to repair, so they can perhaps keep on repairing our defensive positions. Or the gun, if it malfunctions, which it might very well do. Anyway, let's try to let's try to resolve this and see what happens. So, first off, we can fire at the Germans. And these 2 guys, they're both going to fire. And they're both going to fire at the people in the first sector. So they need a 4 to 6 in order to hit. On a 1 to 3, they just suppress. And they both suppressed, which is not ideal, but at least we got 2 Germans suppressed. Fair enough. Then we have our artillery, and since we have 2 guns ready, we can really do some damage now. So what do we want to do? I mean, we can aim both guns at the sectors, but we could perhaps also take out some of those patrols. Perhaps potentially clearing the way down for more supplies or more. I don't know if it's worth it. No, I think we have to focus on the Germans right now, I guess. So the first gun can kill 4 people in one sector. And the second gun can kill 2 people and suppress 1. But that does mean there is still 1 in the red sector, which is going to be bad at the end of the turn. But at least we got 6 Germans. 6 dead Germans. I mean, that's pretty effective firing, guys. That's good on you. Very good on you. The only thing now is since we fired both guns, we have to check both of them if they jam. So, and the first one that shot at this sector, it jams on a 102. Does not jam. The second gun that shot on this sector, which is closer and more difficult to hit for the artillery, it jams on a 123. It did not jam either. So we're doing pretty well. I mean, our guns are not jamming. Our young fellows have really cleared out the dust. They found the proper shells. We know how to handle them. These Germans are being blown to smithereens. Our luck is turning indeed, Sortwande. All right. That means that we can also repair, and we don't even need to repair jams. So I'm going to repair another defensive division of the wall, because very soon planes are going to come and start bombing our position. So it's good to have as much repaired as possible. I actually spent soldiers repairing that. It's a little much, but anyway. I also asked these two hunters to build defenses, like extra defenses against the wall. So now we have kind of a barricade. It's not going to help us like a lot, but it's going to help us a little bit. So I'm happy about that. And then the officer, he is going to raise the morale. Going to fall down in a minute, but momentarily we have high morale. That is also good. Then we're going to get back from the supply run, these two volunteers. Finally, they've been out for 3 days. We thought they were lost in the snow, that they've been taken by the Germans. We'd never hoped to see them again, but now they're here. And look at what they bring. 5 supplies. And also barricades, steel plates to protect against German bombers when they show up. And then, of course, also, I've forgotten about that. They raised the morale by 2. We're at +3 morale. Look at this. And they raised the suspicion by 2. The Germans kind of got a hunch that something's going on. You know, all those youngsters who was running around in the area, they've been seen running up towards the fortress. So they know that something is going on up here in our little eagle's nest. And these go out. And then in the infirmary, unfortunately, we cannot, bring this guy back to life like another Lazarus. But we can, with Nurse Lotte, heal our 2 volunteers. So look at this. Look at all these men. All these men. I mean, we really have a team going now. The only thing is they're all supremely tired. But we still have supplies. I think we'll be able to hang on for a couple of turns still. So now we come to the end of the phase where we see, do we have anything negative for the morale? We have one guy in the morgue, takes morale down. We have a German soldier in a red zone, takes the morale down. We're not out of supplies. And it's a red day. Jesus. Yeah, so this is actually the day in which we understand that we have to retreat back into the fortress. You know, we have to enclose ourselves in the fortress now. That there's really nothing to do. So that also takes down our morale. So despite all the morale boost that we had, we end at a net sum of 0 morale, which at least means that we're not going to get punished for low morale this turn. So I think, this was probably the brightest turn in the game so far. And it may also be the brightest in the game to come. I have a bad feeling. Because now the siege begins. So, the siege. Yeah, okay. So now we have German artillery. The Germans are starting to put artillery out on the hill. So there's going to be artillery here. There's going to be artillery here. There's going to be artillery there. And we have been up here for so long. We're so cold. We're so starving. Our supplies is almost ineffective now. Each of these cubes now only allows us to refresh 2 people. So you can see we have 5 supplies, and I don't know how we're going to get more supplies even at this point. And they can all together ready 10 people, and we have more than 10. So this is a tough situation. Then we have to flip this board. No, we have to remove this board, actually. And then you can see down here, we basically have the same setup as before, except now there are 4 sectors that the Germans are going to march through. And now some of them may also be starting to throw grenades at us, which will further going to bring down our defenses. The one guy who was up in the top sector, the only positive thing is that he is now suppressed in the lowest sector. So he's further down. He retreated in our momentarily show of strength. Then there is a machine gun. We have now access to the machine gun. The machine gun is great because it can really take out a lot of guys who are running up the hill. The only thing is that it auto jams. You cannot shoot the machine gun and not have a jam, which basically means you need someone to shoot the machine gun, and every turn you also need 2 guys to just repair the machine gun in order to prepare it for the next turn. And then again, next turn you still need someone to shoot it. So it's a little tricky, but it's very good. We can now also make heroic defenses, which means that we can basically, take one of our guys on the barricades out and just have them be injured for certain, but take out 2 Germans with them. Very heroic moves. They're very costly, but they may be necessary at some point. Okay. So the first attack is over, and now the siege begins. And the siege looks like this. Proper Norwegian winter warfare. So now we're going to try to ski past the patrols who want to get down to the village. But I doubt that we're going to have too much interaction with the village from this point onwards, because we're really entrenched now. And you can see there are Germans, there's artillery, it's not easy to get down, and there's not a whole lot of supplies for us to pick up because we didn't set up proper supply depots earlier in the game, as if we'd had the time to do that. So now so on this first turn of the siege, we see it is a cloudy day. So that's all right. I don't know that it matters too much to us anymore. We have to put another artillery marker in the hit bag. And you probably don't know what that means, but it just means that, it strengthens the German artillery. It's never a good thing for us. And the text here says, more German artillery has been spotted on the road to Hegra. So basically more and more artillery is being sent our way. And now comes the planes. So now we take 2 of these plane counters from the leftmost column. Each turn, more planes will arrive. And we take these planes and we put them into the hit bag. Then then they bomb us. I put the card there. The bomb us. And the more artillery is out on the board, the more they're going to bomb us. So right now, they're going to bomb us for 5, which is horrible. They're basically going to hit us 5 times. So let's draw a lot of all those missed tokens we put into the bag, right? They're hitting gun 1. So they hit one of the barrels of our gun, which is now broken and need to repair it again. That was 1. The second means that more artillery is going to come up. The artillery counters are basically, they're ticking up over here, and when they get to a certain level, it gets really dangerous. Then we have a plane drops a bomb on one of our storage rooms, and we lose a supply. That was 3. 4. I don't see too many missed tokens. It is another, as you can see here, plane dropping bombs on our supplies. So all our beautiful supplies that we were meant to spend to get our people back out are being bombed. And the last thing that happens is a miss. Hooray. Hooray. 1 miss. Yeah. Okay, the bad thing is that the missed tokens, well, the good thing is the planes that hit us, they go out of the game, those tokens, but the missed tokens also go out of the game, whereas the artillery tokens, they go back into the bag and they can come and bite us again. We really need to take out some of that artillery. But it's a difficult situation because we simply do not have a lot of supplies. And the Germans are now sending more soldiers up to attack us. So now we got 5 German soldiers coming our way. 1, 2, 3, 4 down here, and the second one comes up, the 5th one comes up there. So then let's see what they do. The Germans at the bottommost sector, we have one of them shoots, and one of them moves, and the others, they luckily just stay down there and don't do anything, so that's great. And the German in the sector above, he also moves, so that's not too good. So first there is only one German shooting. Now, last turn, remember, we raised the defense from 0 to 1, which means that we can block one shot. So this guy shoots at us, but he doesn't hit anything. So we just saved our soldiers' ass by building those defenses last turn. Pretty good. Then we got movement. So one soldier German moves up here, one German moves up here, and this guy was suppressed, becomes unsuppressed. So it looks like this. We still have no one in the red sector, that's fine. But we also really need to keep the numbers of the Germans down, because once they become too many, it becomes very difficult to manage them. And now, finally, us. We need to rest. We need to get ready. But we have 3 tiny cubes that can give us 6 men. I don't even know what to do here. I mean, we have no one in the infirmary, so maybe we don't need the doctor. But we definitely need all the soldiers we can get. I wonder if we need our Sarge. He could train someone to become a soldier, but I think we need someone to fire our guns, and we also need someone to repair that gun that got jammed. And perhaps we also need someone to shoot the machine gun, but that could be one of those. We need someone more to man the defenses out there, perhaps. I think we're just going to take our elite troops. That's basically all our soldiers and our hunters, and no one else. And then we're going to rest the officer and the medic, because I have a feeling that we might be needing the medic next turn. And we have no supplies now, by the way, and no real obvious way of getting any supplies. I'm just realizing, which is not very good. But, okay. Okay. I could do a reckless defense. Yeah. I mean, we do have a soldier here who can man the machine gun. So he would be able to shoot 3 of them. Now, we may have to ask some of the village boys in the not too distant future to do the reckless defense thing. You know, to sacrifice himself for the greater good of keeping us alive. So we're going to send 2 soldiers out to shoot the artillery. And could shovel snow. We can't shovel snow. I think perhaps I'm going to take 2 soldiers out just to, the weather is good. Go out and try to take out some of that artillery so we don't get hit so badly by the bombs next turn. And then have these 2 hunters repair our gun that broke down. I think that's a fair plan. So let's start out here. We'll have the soldier man the machine gun, and he rolls a die, And he always hits 3. The question is just whether he suppresses or kills. On 4 to 6, he kills. And he kills. So he kills 1, 2, 3 guys with a machine gun. This is very good stuff. We're really pushing the Germans back. Unfortunately, the machine gun jams. As I said, it auto jams. And the Hunter here, he cannot hit anything. Cannot shoot that far. Should have used him first, but I didn't. It's okay. Then we have our artillery that we can fire. And now the interesting thing is, how concerned should we be here? We have 2 guns. So, yeah. Take out the artillery in a midnight sting operation. Classic telemark. Yeah, that's what I'm planning. I'm planning to take out 2 artilleries, I think. But there may be another way to do it, because I have 2 guns to fire, and see, one of them can fire down here, kill 2 guys, and suppress this guy. That's the first gun. And it jams on a 1 to 3. Unfortunately, the gun jams, which is the, let me just, sorry, I need to check when the gun jams. What is it that actually jams? Jamming. And the walls. On, where is it? Fire artillery. Oh yeah, here it is. Let's see. The rightmost. Okay, so it is indeed, luckily, this one that jams. So it's not a part of the gun that actually fires shells, but yeah. It moves closer to the barrel jamming. So we kill those, jam, then we have the other ones. Now we have options. We can use it to take out an artillery or a patrol, or we can use it to bomb the airfield. And if we bomb the airfield, we can either remove planes, make it difficult for the German planes to operate. We can add mist tokens into the back, which might be a very good move for us right now. Or we can raise the morale by 2 if we feel threatened by low morale. Or we can move the surrender marker down, but that's only if we're trying to win. And right now we're just trying to survive. So I think, even though it probably means that our gun jams, yeah, that's the only thing. It probably means that our gun jams. Perhaps we should just take out all their artillery. Yeah. Let's just take out all their artillery. Yeah, but then again. No, I'm going to bomb the German airfield. I'm bombing the German airfield to make it difficult for their planes to use the airfield and take off. So that adds 2 of these mist tokens into the bag. Out it goes. And then, unfortunately, I need to roll a 6 in order to avoid my gun jamming. That, of course, I didn't do. So gun 2 is jammed. But we already have someone on repair duty. So let's hope it fixes itself. Then we are going to send soldiers out to take out artillery pieces. So we're going to send one out here, down there. We're going to send another one down here. Just for the fun of it, we're going to send them down here. And they're both going to try to take out these pieces. And the way that works is that they automatically takes out a piece, which is great. Lowers the artillery levels, meaning that fewer barrages will hit us next turn. But then we have to see if they're actually wounded in the process. and we roll a die, and if we roll the suspicion number lower, they're wounded. So on a 1 or 2, this guy's wounded. Fortunately, while taking out the artillery, someone trips his ski and he has a horrible ski accident. And it's only a concussion though. So he's not too badly wounded, but it did trip him up a little bit. And as soon as he does, because he's wounded, the Germans feel that now they tackle some of the opposition, which actually means that the suspicion level is falling. So, just check here. I'm sorry, I'm getting into a little bit of rules, but it's because more and more rules are added to the game as it continues. So, these rules in these later stages of the game are not as clear in my mind. Let's see. Yeah, the suspicion goes down by 2 because he was wounded. This is excellent, which means that the other guy, no matter what he rolls, even though he only rolls a 1, he takes out the artillery. He's not wounded, and because the artillery is taken out, the suspicion increases by 1. But he's still out here, and he can basically continue to move around and take out guns or patrols or whatever. So maybe we're going to just use him for that. Suspicion is still really low. We took out some important artillery pieces. It's very good work. I am very worried, though, that we have literally no supplies. Like, literally supplies. Oh. How are we going to get supplies? I don't see how we're going to get supplies at all. Yeah, okay. Then we have our 2 hunters, and they can repair. So they immediately just repair gun number 2. So we can fire 2 guns again next turn, which is great. They could also repair the machine gun. Should they repair the machine gun? Yeah, they should probably repair the machine gun instead. We're going to repair the machine gun again because it was very efficient last turn. Okay, everything looks good. It's not, but it looks good. Then the soldier who got in the infirmary with his light wound, he's quickly bandaged. So he's out again immediately. So, we have a lot of soldiers to work with, but unfortunately, it's going to be very, very difficult or expensive to have them perform. They're completely worked out. They haven't slept. They haven't eaten. They're freezing. They're scared. They're running around in these icy walls of this collapsing castle. Bombs are falling everywhere. A dead friend is lying in the hallway still. No one has had, really the presence of mind to even move him anywhere. So the situation is dire and desperate. And with these words, we move into the morale phase. And right now, morale is at 0, but we have a dead body, which means that it goes down 1. We also have no supplies, which means that it goes down 1. And that's all. So we're at a -2, which means that we have to draw 3 low morale cards, and we have to execute 2 of them. So these are our sad possibilities. We can increase the suspicion by 1. We can injure one of our defenders, or we can lose a supply. But we have no supplies to lose, so we cannot choose that card. So we have to affect the 2 others. And raising suspicion by 1, making the Germans a little more aware of our telemark activities, I'm not too scared about that. But having a defender injured, that's not good. And it's going to be a volunteer, as we can see from the card here, which has a volunteer at the top of the hierarchy of people who are injured. So our volunteer is injured. So again, he's only lightly wounded. So that's pretty lucky. Perhaps it was just like an accidental slip on the ice. He fell and hit his head, but it wasn't too bad. So that was all the morale, and we survived that. And now, here at the end of the first turn of the siege, before the second and last turn of this part of the siege, 2 more German patrols show up. So, let's see. It is 2 German patrols show up right here, closer and closer to the fortress. Well, it was the morning of the 8th day, and it was cloudy weather. No, I thought it was cloudy weather. It was actually snowing. Look, this is getting bad because the snow now is so deep that if we get one more layer of snow, we will actually start taking serious structural and personal damage. So we need to just shovel snow, just not to find anything, just not to be buried alive. That means that naturally we get one of these wonderful carts to shovel into the deck. We've seen them before. Looks like this. Despair because of the snow. That's fitting. And the question on the card is, can we really do this? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we can be here till the end. That's all I can promise. But what that end looks like, I'm not going to speculate. Because now we have more planes arriving. And we're going to put more planes into the hit bag. Luckily, we took out a lot of artillery last turn. So last time we were hit by 5 planes. Now we're only going to get hit by 3. That's pretty good. The first one. Oh, wait a sec. Did we have... Yeah, okay, you're right. The first is injure a defender. So unfortunately, one of the people in the fortress, while we are hiding out, trying to sleep, trying to just get a little bit of rest, we're hit. Someone is hit by a bomb. And again, looking at our card here to see the hierarchy, we can see, unfortunately, that is one of our soldiers who's at the top. So one of our soldiers gets hit by shrapnel from a bomb, and it's only a surface wound. So that's pretty good, but still he's out for the round. Too bad. And that was only the first hit. The second hit is a hit to our defensive position A. Can you believe this? Like, a bomb actually falls right on the fortified position of the wall, meaning not only that it breaks down, but that the guy who was defending it is now injured because the wall he was standing on just disappeared from under him. Again, luckily, as if by a miracle, he escapes with a light wound. But this means already now, before the turn has even begun, we already have 3 people in the infirmary, meaning that our beds are full. Anyone who gets injured now will have to wait in the hallways, and we know what that does to morale to see injured people in the hallways. Then the final bomb is... We put a lot of mist tokens into that bag. Why are we not drawing them? Because now our gun here is... So gun 2 is not now only jammed, it's also broken. So first we have to repair it, and then we have to clear the jam. I wonder if we're ever going to fire that gun again. Damn it. So that was the bombing. And now comes the Germans. And there are 5 of these guys, which means 4 of them is going to come down here at the bottom. We've done a really good job at keeping the German numbers down, I must say. But they keep on coming, so we have to keep on doing a good job. Let's try. The first Germans, what do? Well, 2 of them just hang back. It's really good when they hang back. One of them shoots and the other one decides to move further up the hill. Then on the second level, there's a lone German, and he also whips out his gun. Now, unfortunately, we got 2 Germans shooting at us, and we only got 1 in defense on a wall. So 1 bullet hits the wall, but the other one flies just on top of it and unfortunately strikes our soldier on his head. And he Again, is only a superficial wound, but he is now in the waiting area. So if he doesn't get into a bed, his condition is going to continue to deteriorate. And if we have too many people in the waiting area, we're going to move closer to a state where we're going to be forced to surrender because we simply lose hope. I mean, even our commander, Haldeman, is going to lose hope in the end. So with that out of the way, one German is going to move up here, and this one is going to become unsuppressed. So as you can see, there's like another group of soldiers forming, and we just got to keep him down, but I don't know how anymore. Okay, next move. We have a doctor and an officer. I mean, these are probably the two highest ranking people right now in the bunker. They're both well rested, and they're like, men, where are you? Come and join us. You know, we need to defend the fortress. But everyone is dead tired, and we have no supplies to give them. We can't give them breakfast. We can't even give them a drink. We can do nothing. We can only spend morale in order to get them here. And for each morale we spend, we get 2 men out, meaning that we basically force them to work even though they have no strength left. But we can only do that a certain number of times, because if our morale drops below 3, then we start having people simply just leave the fortress. We don't want that to happen. And we already have a dead guy, which means that morale is certainly going to go down 1 at the end. We don't have any supplies. It could go down 2. We can probably not afford to do more than 1 or a maximum of 2 people out. We can't bomb the airfield in order to raise morale, but it's really like peeing our pants. But we have to do something. So these 2 soldiers, we're going to force them out of bed. You're soldiers, you're professionals. You got to get out there with your gun. It's part of the job. And I know it's desperate, but I'm going to do it again. And I'm also going to force these 2 hunters out of their beds. And then these 2 volunteers, they get to rest. And this guy, he just keeps, no matter how much he sleeps, he's just still tired. Poor guy. So what are they going to do now once they're out here? Well, I think we need to bomb. But bombing the airfield just to get morale, it seems like, I mean, we need someone out there to fire the machine gun. So we basically need a soldier to do that. But if we have a soldier do that, we cannot fire the artillery. We could have. Does more. No, we're definitely going to put a soldier here to fire the machine gun. And is Haldeman going to man the walls? Are we that desperate? I mean, we need to repair shit. I mean, things are breaking. We need them. But then again, the thing about these people here in the beds is that they're all lightly wounded. So they're basically going to self-heal at the end of the turn. So there's actually no point in using the med healing them. We can use the medic to do something better. But unfortunately, we only have 1 soldier, and 1 soldier cannot fire the artillery alone. The other soldier is out here. So the question is, do we send another soldier out into the field to take out, just trying to work his way down to the supplies or something? Maybe we have to. Yeah, I think we have to make a desperate run down to the village in order to try to get those. It's snowing, I know, but what do you want me to do? I mean, oh shit, didn't I say we need someone to shovel the snow or everything's going to collapse? Yeah, we'll have to put someone on snow shoveling duty. And then these 2 guys, I mean, we need to repair something. How can we raise more? Oh, wait a sec. We can raise morale. We can use Captain Haldeman to raise morale. That may save us from having anyone defecting this turn if we're lucky. I have indeed considered surrendering Stecken Deluxe, but before I am forced to surrender, I will keep on fighting. If I surrendered right now, it would be an honorable surrender. But the thing is, the Germans don't really allow surrenders until they have finished with their bombing. So, yeah. This is pure agony. Okay. The medic and the hunter, they're gonna try to repair an old artillery gun. Yeah. Okay. So, we're gonna man the machine gun here. And it, of course, jams right out of fire after firing, but we're going to shoot it. And 4-6, we kill Germans. We unfortunately do not kill Germans. We only have them suppressed. So we suppress 3 Germans, which is fine, but, they're going to become unsuppressed and they're going to continue moving. So it's not really effective. And it jammed our gun. We don't have anyone who can fire the artillery, so it's just sitting there. Then we have the supply run. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to move this Telemark Norwegian ski soldier down here, and he's just going to take out this patrol. Bam. This is what he can do. Now, of course, we have to see if he becomes injured. He does become injured on a 1 or 2 because of the suspicion track down here. But he rolls above the suspicion track, which means that he is not injured, but suspicion is raised by 1 level. Now here comes another skiing Telemark soldier, 1, 2, 3, takes out this one, bang. And you see, we have an open pipeline down to the village. This is good soldiering out here, good skiing. And this time we need to roll a 4 or more to avoid getting damaged. And again, look at these soldiers. I mean, I should have put them on ski much earlier. This is clearly their specialty. Brilliant. We just punched a hole right through the German defense line. Excellent. Then we're going to shovel snow. The hunter is going to shovel snow, and he just shovels and shovels and shovels. And he only actually, even though he's like the best shoveler around, he only shovels the snow back to the level that it was when we arrived a week ago. It's so bad. But good work. Thank you, Arne. And then we can do some repairs. But this is the problem about repairing is, what are we going to repair? The defensive walls, the guns. Even if we repair the guns, that won't really help us right now because we need to at least be able to repair twice in order to get a gun functioning. So perhaps we should just try to bolster. Should we try? We could repair the machine gun. It's pretty desperate. Yeah, let's repair the machine gun. Right, the medic, and they were trying to repair the big gun, but it was too difficult. So instead, they just repaired the machine gun. It just needs to be put back on its tripod, and it's functioning again. And then we have Holtermann, who inspires his soldiers and gives them a little bit of a morale boost. They're still pretty demoralized, but it's a tiny little bit less demoralized than they were before. And now we come to the infirmary. And everyone who is in the waiting area, they're just going to get worse. So our soldier, he had a light wound, but now it has become infected and he gets worse. Luckily, though, all our other guys are only light wounded and they're all basically discharged. I mean, they may not be 100% functioning, but in this day and age, in these circumstances, you just have to get out of that bed quickly because someone needs it more than you. And the guy who needs it more than you is this guy. So we move him straight into a bed. Brilliant. Now, how was it with the morale around the fortress? Well, we have a dead guy lying in the hallway. That naturally lowers morale. Oh, we have no supplies. Well, that naturally lowers the morale. We don't have any other negative modifiers, so no one defects. But we do have to draw 4 low morale cards and effect 3 of them. I'm going to have a sip of the bottle before I do that. Those Norwegians, they had it tough back in 1940, I must say. They really did. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do it. You can't even read it probably, but this is just the nightmare that I have to work my way through now. So, more patrols, more suspicion, remove mist tiles from the hit bag, lose supplies. We cannot lose supplies. Oh, we're in siege. It's worse. Sorry. I was, of course, looking at the mild effects. As you can see here on the cards, the effect at the top is what happens in the mobilization and first attack phases. But since we're now in the siege stage of the game, it means that we have to do the second line, which is worse. So instead of losing 1 supply, you're going to lose 2 supplies. So what we have here is we have lose 1 supply, lose 2 supplies. We cannot effect any of them. Then we can demote a soldier into a volunteer. He's basically so shell-shocked that he is no longer functioning as a soldier. So one of our soldiers here, we have to effect this card, becomes a volunteer. Great. And one of the mist tiles that we put in this hit bag, it's like the mist tiles in this hit bag, they only come out when I'm instructed to take them out. I never pull them. It's disgraceful. It's disgraceful. Yeah. Here's a mist token. Out of the bag. And now we cannot lose any of these resources. Let me just see if there's some extra punishing thing that happens when you actually cannot lose what you're instructed to lose on the morale cards. No, I don't think there's really anything. There are no extra punishment. I think that this is all punishment enough in itself. But I guess we just have to shuffle them. No, I guess we have to at least one of them. Take one of them out, I think. Or it doesn't make sense, does it? I don't know. Anyway, like this. This was bad enough. So this was the morale. And now we're starting to get into that part of the game where we kind of look at if we have any conditions that would cause us to move closer to surrender. And those conditions, if that we have 3 or more dead defenders, we only have 1. If we have 4 or more defenders in the waiting area in the infirmary, we have none. If there are 6 artillery guns on the map, there's only 1. Or if we have less than currently 5 active healthy soldiers or healthy volunteers or just people, basically. So we're not going to surrender just yet. We are going to make it through to the next turn. But what happens now is that the game comes into the final part of the game, so this is the final change. Basically, we moved from siege 1 to the second attack. Now begins the big Germans attack, which means now everything is just going to increase in power. And it's no longer going to be the image of these Telemark guys, because I guess there's not going to be so much time for outings, but instead we're going to have this image of us defending the walls of the Halls of Hegra, just sitting behind those rocks that we managed to pile on top of each other or dig down under through the snow. And this is where we're going to resist the final German onslaught. So how does that look? Let's pull a card. Can you believe it? It keeps on snowing. It just never stops. Good job that we shoveled snow last turn, or we would have been buried alive. It is becoming even colder, and frostbite is spreading among the soldiers. We immediately lose morale, and we immediately have a soldier injured. But we have actually no soldiers we can injure. We're that bad off. So instead, it's our commander, Captain Halterman, has now, unfortunately, suffered severe frostbite. Well, let's see how severe it is. It's very severe. Ugh. So our commander is now in bed with basically a foot that he cannot walk on. It looks weirdly black and unhealthy, and the doctors are talking about that he may lose toes, or what is worse, perhaps even the whole foot. So now comes more planes. We can hear them coming, flying in over the fortress. They go down into the hit back. Again, luckily, we've been pretty good at keeping those artilleries down. So there's only going to be 3 bombs. The last time, the 3 bombs that hit us, that was really not very good. Let's see what happens this time. So it's a miss. Can you believe it? They finally missed. And that, of course, won't come into focus, but it is a missed token, I promise. Come into focus. Come on into focus. Yeah, well, I promise you, it is a missed tile. So the first plane misses its target. The second plane, hello guys, also misses its target. And the third plane, well, it moves the artillery closer. That is still not such a big problem. Oops, and it goes back. So this was very good. This was very good. Finally, a stroke of luck. Yeah, finally the planes missed. Brilliant. Now, though, we have 6 more Germans coming up the hill. And 1 guy is going to come here at the bottom. 3 guys is going to go here. 2 is going to go here. As you can see, they get closer and closer and closer to the fortress. And then, of course, they act. So down here at the bottom, what do? We have 2 of them sit back and do nothing. We really like that. 2 of them are on the move up the hill. That's not a good sign. Then in the row above, we have 1 guy who starts shooting wildly. Another one also climbs up the hill, and a 3rd one stays behind. And in the sector closest to our defenses, one of them throws a grenade and the other one just hangs back. So let's see. We have 1 guy throwing a grenade. And if 2 guys or more throw a grenade, then they lower our defenses. But there's only 1 guy throwing a grenade, so it doesn't really do any damage. We're pretty lucky there. Then we have 1 guy shooting, but we have 1 in defense, so the shot deflects off our defenses, and our soldier miraculously is not hit. This is excellent. And then we got Germans on the move. 1 guy is climbing up here. 1 guy is climbing up here. And because there's now already 5 in this row, this guy continues up to here. So there's a lot of Germans around. We need to do something about them. But at least we sort of stayed in the clear for this round. It's pretty good. Okay. Now we had 2 of these youngsters that we allowed to sleep last turn. They're just ready by themselves. We seriously have no supplies. So, I can't give them anything. And also, I'm like in bed with frostbite. We have no food, we have no drink, we don't have anything. We can't light a fire because that just attracts the bombs. So the only thing is that Captain Halterman, he can lie in his bed and just shout at them and lower their morale. I mean, I think we got her, but it's really bad. It is really, really bad. Like, we need to at least get 2 guys out, and we probably need to. Yeah, do we need the medic out even? We can't fire the gun. We have no. I mean, we need to get those soldiers back from the telemark, right? It's snowing. It's really slow going. Oh. Okay. Shovel more snow. Just hope we strike luck. We could just shovel snow. And yeah, we also need to repair the machine gun, I guess, after it jams. And we should probably also bomb the airfield, but we don't have the personnel. We have a complete dearth of soldiers. Like, where? Also, of course, we had a soldier who was shell-shocked and only functions as a volunteer. So this is what we do. We lower our morale by 2. We kick those guys out of their bed. They're so damn tired now. There's not a lot of fighting spirit left in them at all. But we have to get back on those walls. We have to keep on fighting. This guy cannot do everything by himself. I don't really know how to help him even. I think I'm just frantically, I'm going to ask, like, dig down through the snow. You know, I know there's something down there. I know there's something that can help us. Just dig through the snow. These telemark soldiers, I'm going to get one of them to go out there and pick up that thing, and the other one I just have to call him back because we need him back right now. This guy is going to use the machine gun, but there's a lot of soldiers coming next turn, so whoever's there is probably going to be blasted. So I don't want to put any more out there. I do want someone to repair the machine gun once it breaks, and I could also, I have these 2 guys, these recruits. Together they can raise the morale, they can bolster our defense, or they can repair more stuff. But I think if we bolster the morale, we may avoid losing another defender, which is probably, is that what we should do? Just seems like spending 2 volunteers to raise the morale 1 is. Should I try to bolster the defense in order to try to save the soldier? And then hope that whoever defects is. Yeah. I'm gonna. I don't care about the morale now, right? You guys just have to fight. We don't have time for speeches. No more time for speeches. Okay. Let's do it. So, our soldier here, he mans the machine gun, he shoots it, it jams, but before it jams, he manages to shoot, and we need a 4, 5, or a 6. We get a 2. This sucks. He suppresses 3 Germans up here, but they're still there. This is the problem. He did the same thing last turn. But, who can blame him? He's firing basically an overheated gun on an empty stomach. You know, he can't even see straight anymore. There's no one to fire the artillery, which is stupid because we actually have functioning artillery. We just don't have anyone left who knows how to work the artillery. This soldier down here, he's going to go down to the village and he's going to tell them desperately, you need to do something to divert those planes. The other guy, he can go back or he can do something desperate and heroic. And he's going to do that. I see one thing I could have done, but I didn't do. I'll do it next turn. So he's going to telemark sort of around the back of this artillery piece, and then he's going to take it out. He's encircling it. He's taking it out. He's going to try to avoid more bombs falling on us. And suspicion level is at 4, so he needs to do... Oh, What about the kids? Yeah, that's true. I actually forgot that I need to put these two into rest. These two into rest. These are resting. This one is sleeping. Well, the kids, they're just repairing machine guns and building barricades in front of the walls. But we just took down an artillery piece on a 5 or 6. We managed without getting hurt. This is important. Okay. So unfortunately, the soldier is wounded during the operation, and it's a serious, serious wound. No one even knows how he makes it back up to the castle. But somehow, with a trail of blood, he arrives, and luckily there's a bed for him where he can lie. And yes, whenever the bombing stops, you can hear the sound of crying children while with their frozen fingers, they're trying to build some kind of defenses against these constant onslaught of Germans. You can see them moving down here. The fascists are getting closer. So we shovel snow, which is great because we uncover something new. What we shit. What did I just do? He was dead. I know that for a fact. This one was here, and this one was here. Yeah. Okay. So, but what we actually find is, you see it, guys? A medicine cabinet. This is brilliant. This opens up a new action, and if we use our medic, Lotte, to take that action, she can actually fully heal a patient. Oh, Jesus. I even been cheating. When the medic heals, they only heal the patients one space at a time. They don't fully heal. I mean, you can see it is this game even possible? I mean, I guess it's not meant to be. That's probably why I like it. Anyway, the medicine cabinet is of course also damaged. But if we manage to pry it open, we will also get some basic ad hoc like bandages and stuff, which means that we can keep people in the waiting area from regressing further, or from having their situation deteriorate further. But that means we need to repair or pry open the medicine cabinet. So. Jesus. Repairs. So now we could repair the medicine cabinet, but I think it's not so important. I think the important thing is to repair the machine gun. That's the crying kids that do that. And then 2 other kids, they put up barricades, which raises our defense to 2. It's a pretty heroic effort, I think. It's like, this is a certain surplus you need in order to set up new defenses, like in the midst of all this. And the commander is even gone. Perhaps that is why they're blossoming, the young kids, because the commander is no longer screaming at them. So, in the hospital, there's no one to treat the patients. So, they just slowly get better. I just need to make sure about that heal action, because I think I was doing it wrong. See what it says. Heal. Yeah, okay. So it's only up 1 level. It is true. Oh, this is bad. This is bad. Okay. Great. So that was basically all we could do. And now comes the morale. It's getting more brutal right now, Swordvende, because we're out of supplies. So we go down and we have a corpse in the waiting area. So, and it's a red day. So morales go down 1, 2. So we have 2 people defect now. And you can see the order of defection here is first soldiers, but we have no soldiers that can defect in the tired area. So if our officer was not in, if Halderman was not in bed with frostbite right now, he would defect, which is, Jesus. So that frostbite was actually, a blessing in disguise. At least he hasn't defected. And only now, after the soldiers and the officers, do the young kids start to deflect. I mean, you gotta give them. But 2 of them run away back to mommy and daddy down in the village. I hope they didn't get shot on their way back down to the village. I don't blame them. Just get out of here. You're probably the people who are living to tell this tale. And then after, who is even left at this point? I mean, we do have some young kids and some of these local hunters and the doctor, and we got the dead and the dying. But now we're going to resolve 4 low morale cards, which is, perhaps rather than saying who is even left at this point, one might ask the question, what is even the point? But the game is not going to let us just get off the hook so easily. It wants to drag us all the way through the pain and the suffering. So, and that's an interesting thing, I think, about this game, actually, that at so many points you think, okay, it's pointless. I'm not going to, this doesn't work. And the game just keeps at it. It just keeps chipping away at you harder and harder. So right now we're going to suffer 4 negative effects because of our extremely low morale. No, we're going to suffer 3. But I drew 4 cards. And let's see, we're in the Siege 2 stage. So these are like the worst effects on the cards. Lose a defender. Move all patients in the infirmary 1 level down. Move the defense 1 level down. Injure 2 defenders. These are really difficult choices. We cannot really have more injured defenders, I think. Because then we have people piling up in the waiting area, and that's going to completely then they're not going to be available. It's going to pull. It's going to kill whatever's left of our morale. So I think I am going to choose not to injure any defenders, but then I'm going to resolve the 3 other cards. And since we're in the final stage of the game, it means that we're resolving the hardest effects on the cards. So our defenses just broke down. All patients in the hospital becomes worse. 1 is now almost dead. We thought that Halderman's frostbite was getting better, but apparently it's not. And then finally, we just lose a defender, which means another one of our village boys defects. So those were, was it 3 people defecting this turn? But, look at the bright side. We actually survived another day. We lived to see another day. This may be the last sunset today, but at least we lived to see it. We still don't have so many dead or dying or so much artillery that we feel the need to surrender. And we need 5 people healthy in order to not surrender. And right now we have 6, 7, 8. So we're good. We're good. Now, unfortunately, 3 more patrols show up. It is a new day. And they show up as close to the fortress as at all possible. 4, 4, 5. So they show up here. Damn it. Blocking the way back for our soldier. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, by the way, when our soldiers was injured last time, suspicion level fell by 2. So that's a tiny positive. Then We draw a new card, and look, wouldn't you be surprised? It is snowing. Jeez. I mean, this is how many snow cards have we had? Like, is there anything else in this deck by now? The supply shortage storage took a direct hit. Well, it doesn't really matter because we don't have any supplies. But if we had lost 3 supplies. Unfortunately, since we cannot lose 3 supplies, we get 3 of our people are now injured in this bomb raid. Oh my god. They were probably crawling around the storage, trying to dig whatever, just like licking the insides of the storage barrels and just trying to get like something out of them, just like the smell of an old sausage or something. But instead, they got hit by the direct hit. And as you can see again, the hierarchy says soldier, officer, volunteer, medic, hunter. So we have 2 volunteers and 1 hunter who can leave. So we just had 3 people, they're injured. So the 2 volunteers are really badly injured and we have no beds for them. And the hunter is also really badly injured. So you can see we have like seriously dying people piling up in the hallways and we cannot transfer them to beds. We really need to pry open that medicine cupboard so we can stop them from dying and we can try to heal someone. But that, of course, means not dealing with the Germans. So, choices. Okay. And now comes the planes. So now we're getting hit, but because we were out, we have removed all the artillery. There is only 2 bombs that's going to fall on us. That's pretty good. One of them, causes a morale drop. So morale immediately falls by 1, which is not good. And the second bomb causes another morale drop. So morale was just lowered by 2. I mean, I think what's really happening at this point, because we're not recruiting anymore and we don't have supplies. So morale has now become the only resource which can use to motivate people. And when our morale drops before a turn even begins, it's going to be really, really difficult to do this. So, yeah. When are you going to defect, Sword Bandit? Where even were we? Oh, that was the planes. That was the bombs that fell on us. And now comes the Germans. And only 4 of them. How peaceful. What a peaceful day. Only 4 Germans show up. 2 of them show up down here at the bottom. 1 of them show up here, and 1 of them show up here. So they're basically Germans all the way up to our defensive walls now. Let's see what they do. I don't know if we'll survive this day. Let's see. 5 soldiers down at the bottom. Well, a lot of them don't do anything. They just sit back. Only 1 of them moves up. Probably they're just thinking like, this fortress up there, it's a goner. I'm not going to waste my energy climbing that hill. I'll let someone else do it. The next row of soldiers, they're a little more eager to get up. 3 of them start climbing the hill, and 1 whips out his gun and just starts shooting wildly. Above him, there are 2 soldiers. 1 of them climbs up the hill, and the other one whips out his gun and starts shooting, which is bad, I can tell. And the final one at the top, he throws a grenade. So, first of all, the guy throws a grenade. Yeah, if you're going through hell, keep going. This seems to be the message of the game, really. Like, it doesn't really allow you, I mean, you can stop a game whenever you want to stop a game, but if you want to play through it, you have to go through these agonizing moments. I can't remember really the last time I said anything positive on this stream. Well, I can say a little positive thing now. which is that this guy who throws a grenade, since he's only one guy doing it, is not going to damage our defenses. Unfortunately, that doesn't really matter because we got two guys shooting at us, and one of the bullets is saved by our defense, but the other one goes across and hits our soldier. So our soldier there is wounded badly. Look, they're piling up. We got 4 people in the waiting room now, and no one to man the machine gun, which then ironically is unjammed. Yeah, it is the hope of this stream after all. You know, there's a reason we're playing this game. It's very fitting, I would say. It's a very fitting game for us here at the Hopeless stream. So I feel dazed and confused. I don't even know what to do. These soldiers are moving up. This soldier is moving up. These soldiers are moving up. This soldier is moving up. These people are getting unsplit. Look at how high up the German lines are now. Like, they're almost about to run over the walls. Are, by the way, undefended walls. And basically all our men are just dying at this moment. So what we're going to do, I don't even know what to do, because we have a doctor and a hunter. They're ready. We have no supplies to deal with this guy. If I lower morale, then everyone's going to defect. So I think I'm going to... Yeah. I think it's time for heroics, boys. I think it's time for heroics. Yeah, it is. Yeah. We're going to lower morale. We're going to take this guy with us. And we're going to make a last stand. These 2 guys are going to jump out on the defensive walls. They're hunters. They're marksmen. They have a brilliant shot. And the doctor, he is desperately going to go in and he's going to try to heal the captain, to try to get the captain back out, hoping that the captain may be able to turn things around, or at least be a witness, at least be able to stand when the Germans come and penetrate the fortress. And sadly, that is all I can do this turn. So what I'm going to do is, one of these guys is going to use the machine gun, and he's just going to blast away here at the front row. The machine gun jams as usual, and he actually manages to hit 1, 2, 3. He kills 3 Germans with the machine gun. Absolutely heroics. The second guy, he jumps out here. He runs over the walls, guns blazing. He takes out 2 Germans, and he is wounded in the process pretty severely. And somehow he manages to scramble back to the fortress and just claw his way back into the corridor outside the room with the patients in the beds, including Captain Haldeman's, by now, I guess, not only frostbitten, but also gangrenous leg that is threatening to infect the other patients in the room. And we have no time to shovel snow. We have no time to repair weapons. We have no time to promote anyone. We don't have anyone who can promote anyone. But we do have a doctor who patches up the captain. He gets him back on the line. Get out of bed, Captain. Do your duty. And at this point, the soldiers here in the beds... No, what first happens, actually, everyone who is in the hallways outside the infirmary, they start deteriorating. Okay, yeah. I'm gonna, before I do this, because I forgot this guy out here, I'm just gonna do him. He can only move 3 spaces. Okay, so he can only get to here. That's fine. He's returning with supplies from the village, but it may be too late, because right now the people in the hallway outside the infirmary, their health deteriorates. One guy just straight up dies. One of the volunteers, a young kid, badly wounded. There was no bed for him. The medic tried to get the captain out of the bed as quickly as possible, and he got him out of the bed, but too late. The other guy's situation worsened. They're at the brink of death here. The people in the beds get slightly better, and one person is allowed into a bed. and the soldier gets preferential treatment in some hope that he may be able to do it, to contribute something here at the very end of the struggle. Now comes the morale. We are already at -3 morale when the morale phase starts. I just need a sip of beer. Oh, this pains me. So, we lose a morale for every dead guy. That's 2 morale. We lose a morale because we have no supplies. That's 3 morale. We lose morale because we have wounded soldiers or wounded people in the waiting area. That's 4 morales. We lose a morale because it's a red day, meaning a day of intensifies. That's 5 morale. That means we lose 5 defenders who defect. And going by this card, you can see that there are no soldiers who can defect from up here. So first are Captain Haldeman, who has just been cured by the Lotte of the Hegra. What does he do? Cheapskate. He flees from the castle. That's how he returns his thanks. I think it was Swordvend earlier who asked whether there could be, or was it Tatsevitra, I don't remember. Someone asked earlier whether there were the possibility of traitors inside the walls. And I think this is exactly what is happening right now. Captain Haldeman, he is betraying the trust of his soldiers and of all the young people that he's recruited from the village of Hegra. And he now escapes into freedom to pen down some tale of heroics, I guess. But this shit, he's left the building. Can you believe it? However, he is actually taking the medic with him. And the medic, of course, is the Lotte. She's the only woman up here, beautiful young girl from the village who helped treat his wounds. So he's securing, I'm going to put him out here. He's securing a little getaway for her as well. So he has planned to perhaps start a new life, perhaps in German uniform. I don't know. But he defects with the medic. This is not a good look. Seriously, this is not a good look. No, Captain Haldeman, I blame you, not the medic. We have 3 more people who defect, but we have no who are tired, we have none who are resting, we have none who is ready, which means that the guy who is manning the walls, he just scrambles down away from it. Who can blame him? And the guy who is out here, he just basically drops his supplies and just skis out into the forest away from the Germans. And finally, we have one guy, a young kid, just 14 years of age, who just got here a few days ago. He was trying to be a hero. He was hoping to be a hero, but he is actually dying, and he's crawling out of the hallway, and he doesn't make it very far. He just makes it straight outside the fortress, and he's surrounded by 3 German patrols and shot on the spot. So when the Germans finally enter the halls of Hegra on the 10th day of the siege, what they find is stacks of dead and dying soldiers, locals, hunters, volunteers, young kids. It's a massacre. It's a complete and utter massacre. And it's, of course, an unconditional surrender. Most of the people, they die off from their wounds, and only the lightest wounded of the people will be saved by the Germans, maybe 1 or 2, and the rest just perish. And the tale of it all is being told by Captain Haldeman, who lives to, ripe old age with his young and supple medic wife, and writes down this story of how he defended the fortress to the last hour, but he knew, as he writes in his memoirs, that someone had to survive and tell the story, because if no one was left to tell the story, then the victors, the Germans, would get to write the history as always happens, and that would be the worst. I'm not so sure in this case, but we made it to day 10 of the Halls of Hegra. There are 11 days, but to survive one more day, plus surviving the last stand, which is a final all-assault event, you'd have to be a better commander than me. I think one of the things that really tripped us up early on was that we weren't really able to recruit enough guys in the beginning. And we shoveled a lot of snow that didn't really get us anything solid. Because, I mean, digging out a gun or a medicine cabinet from the snow, that's really, really valuable. But digging out a cache of supplies or something, it's not really, it's peeing your pants. It's not going to save the day. So, yeah, a dark and grueling game indeed. Is it possible to survive? It's one of these kind of games. I'm sure someone out there can math it out and claim a 80% win rate or something, but it's also a game, I think, that it's not really interesting. I mean, winning in this game is not interesting because winning is basically just, flying in the face of probability and historical reality. I think it's much more interesting that the game puts you in a position where you're being ground down and then it just doesn't let go. It's like we could also have ended this game, an hour ago, and because we knew which way it was going, but the game gives you just that this tiny bit of luck. Like suddenly, we weren't hit by any bombs by the planes, right? And it made you survive another day. But then that next day just gets worse. And in the end, it's like this. Everyone who is not invalidated or dead are just fleeing in all directions. And I think it was a very interesting story twist that it was actually the commander who ended up fleeing with the young nurse. That was a very interesting twist. And really, I mean, except for a few of the early defectors, there was, no one really left to tell the story. I do wonder, though, if that soldier who just dumped all the supplies in the forest and went away when he saw that the fortress was falling, whether he is going to be the counter narrative to Captain Haldeman, whether he's the one who's going to, be regarded as this kind of weird, grumpy old guy who writes letters in the newspapers stating that everything Captain Haldeman says about this last stand against the Germans was false, and no one's really going to believe him because, who believes an old grumpy man compared to this distinguished officer? I'm sure, I even think it says historically here, the historical Haldeman, he was applauded. He was applauded when he returned to Trondheim in 1945. The crowd shouted his name, Haldeman, Haldeman, Haldeman. That was truly a testament of the great symbolic meaning of Hegra Fortress, where one man and his soldiers chose to fight. Well, I don't know. Yeah, he chose to fight, but he also slipped away the moment that things were at their darkest. Yeah, it's really great how the game just keeps getting worse, and it feels like it doesn't really need to get any worse, because even if it didn't get worse, you would still die. But it has that added effect of being not just die, but just being crunched. I mean, this last turn was just getting pounced, just completely relentlessly, thing after thing after thing. There was just nothing left to do. So yeah, I hope you liked the stream. I enjoyed this game very much. I think it's one of the most interesting solitaire war games I've ever played, especially because it takes really the position of the soldier on the ground, and it doesn't only focus on fighting. That's a part of it, but it focuses on a lot more. It's really about shoveling snow, about fixing equipment, about getting out there and holding speeches, raise the morale, trying to calm down the local villagers. It focuses on so many really interesting aspects that are usually completely glossed over in war games. And perhaps most poignantly, it really focuses on the suffering, because you have this medical track and you can just see your beds filling up. People are grievously wounded. And you have this one medic who just cannot do a whole lot. And people are lying around the waiting area, just deteriorating. And the more corpses you have there, it's just like this constant morale grinder. And I think there was another thing about this game, that pretty early on we had an unfortunate death because a German managed to climb the walls and charge in. And that just meant that we were losing morale every single turn consistently because of that body lying in the hallway. And that also makes things a lot worse for us. I'm not saying by any means that we could have won this thing, but I'm just saying that we had some unfortunate turn of events, and yeah, but it ended beautifully. So yeah, thank you very much, everybody, and thank you for the kind words out there. I do believe that it's absolutely, I agree, a wonderfully hopeless game. I may take it up at some later point again, do another playthrough. Who knows? It's great to know that these games are being made, and also this game, I should say, was actually made by a Norwegian, of course. And I'm scrambling to find his name. Peter something. Peter Schanke Olsen. This is the cover of the game. Peter Schanke Olsen, Halls of Hegra. Thank you very much for being with me here on the Hopeless stream. I hope that you have a wonderful and slightly less hopeless rest of your evening out there. It was a pleasure. See you next time. And remember, stop winning, start losing, stay hopeless.